The Wire was rated the #1 show of all times. We didn't even watch The Wire because we were living it. So my biggest addiction was fast money, fast women, fast cars. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm seeing that this is like a criminal organization. So I was born in the largest project in East Baltimore. I was born in 1983. You have what's called the low rises, then you have what's called the towers. The towers are the larger buildings that holds more people. So as a kid growing up in Baltimore, unfortunately, I lost my mother at the age of 4 to drug abuse. She had contracted HIV, and then she had OD'd off of shooting needles, her H dog food, what it was called, famously known back then. And that was when it was real heroin in the game instead of the synthetic stuff that they have today.
And were your mom and dad together at that time?
No.
Okay.
My mom and my dad split, I think, maybe a couple months after I was born. So she was a single mom at this time. And when she had actually OD'd, she had been gone for maybe about 2 days when my grandmother had found me in the house alone. So my grandmother lived not far from where my mom lived. And my grandmother had noticed, and this is the story told over the years, that she had noticed, hey, I haven't gotten a call or anything like that. So what's going on? So she showed up at my mom's apartment and found her deceased and me alone. And it, like I said, 2 days had went by. So
your mom had been deceased in the apartment with you, and you were just going about your business. But she was deceased in the bedroom or something.
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And as a 2-year-old, I don't know anything. I don't even remember it, honestly. But
that's probably good.
Yeah. So from there, my grandmom took guardianship of me, and she actually raised me. So my grandmother was in the projects as well. And the thing was, learning under my grandmother. My grandma was like the type of woman, she was a businesswoman. She sold hot plates. She sold frozen cups, sodas, loose cigarettes, and she was a loan shark. So I learned,
This is all out of the projects?
All out of Project House, man. People knew that, hey, if you needed certain things, you can go to, her name was Miss Rose, but the streets, her name was Miss Nookie. And Miss Nookie was well known because she was a fair woman.
Yeah.
She was a good woman. Sometimes the bills can't connect and you might need a couple dollars. And she would be there to get it. But of course, that taught me dollar on a dollar percentages, supply and demand, just being able to flip a buck. Growing up under her, it really taught me a lot about self-respect and how people are supposed to treat you as well. And just growing up in that atmosphere, just being in the projects, one of my big homies, one of my big brothers, who actually were from my projects as well, was Dante Fat Tater Barksdale, who is the nephew of Avon Barksdale, where, HBO's The Wire was based on Avon Barksdale, which was my big brother's uncle, blood uncle, like his mother and Avon are brother and sister. So, but we're talking about years before The Wire ever even came out.
Yeah.
I'm still a child. But I would learn things from the gentlemen from the neighborhoods. There was always a lot of violence. So every night, it would always be sirens and shootings and, you would see drug deals and all, but it was a part of life. You didn't know. When you don't know, it's kind of hard to understand something is wrong when this has been all you've ever known. So just growing up in the projects, just learning how to move around, watching my grandmother. Of course, I would work for her. Like during the summer break, I would sell frozen cups for her, and she would give me a salary. And for those who don't know what a frozen cup is, it's essentially like a snowball per se, but just in a styrofoam cup, and you eat it with a spoon. So it's like a frozen snack.
Right.
That we would actually sell to the community.
You'd make them and sell them, right?
We would make them and sell them, right.
So like in all of these neighborhoods, these lower income or, poor neighborhoods, there's always, on every block, every other block, there's some old retired woman who's and I had a bunch of Section 8 houses, and I remember one time showing up to pick up rent, and in the front room of the house, this woman had just tons of stuff out. Just tons of, like, she had gone to like Sam's Club and she would buy like Snickers bars, and she had just tons of stuff. I was like, what's going on? She's like, I'm running a store. And people, while I was there getting rent, talking to her, little kids are coming up and giving her, whatever, $1 or whatever to get stuff. And because they can't, they don't necessarily have a car to go up to Publix and back. And, they want a Snickers bar. They want a couple of sodas. And she's getting them for whatever, $5 and charging $7. Right. Yeah, I went and got them. I brought them here. I stored them here.
Right.
So it's not that uncommon. It's actually, I didn't know about the loan sharking part, though.
Oh, yeah. See, the thing is, but growing up in that environment, it teaches you the retail value of things and not to just take people's word for certain things. When you're actually coming up in that environment, you learn early, okay, if somebody gives me a 20, this is much, you get to learn things outside of what they teach you in school as far as like real life like currency exchange,
right?
And you learn it firsthand because nobody wants to get change that isn't correct. And then that's a penalty from grandma because she's teaching you better than this. Before the house store even opens, she's going over certain drills and certain things which you look, if somebody gives you a 50 or whatever, because it's no shortage. Yeah. And the convenience of having, like you said, that house store there to be able to, give you the loose cigarettes because maybe Miss Jones doesn't have enough money to go get a whole pack of cigarettes, but she has enough money to come get some cigarettes.
Right.
She still can feed that need of nicotine just by walking and knocking on the door. So I learned a lot from my grandmother growing up in the projects, and I learned a lot about people because I might have, let's say, a classmate who's talking about, hey, I might just overhear him talking about they might get evicted sometime soon, but I know that they're not because your mom came over to my grandmother's house and borrowed some money, so that eviction isn't going to happen, but it's not my business to say that.
Right.
You also learn that secrecy as well. What happens in this house stays in this house. This is business.
Yeah.
And you don't say something that can interfere with business. So what if I would have said, no, your mom came over and borrowed the $300 from my grandma, then it's like, okay, now she's going back to our mom when that's supposed to be secrecy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's you're also saving her dignity of having to go borrow the money. Yeah.
Right.
So your grandmother raised you from then on?
From then on.
Okay.
Right.
What about your father? In and out? Did you ever see him, or he just?
So at that time, in the 80s, remember this is the epidemic. So my father was actually strung out himself, and he and my mom, they were young parents. So I really didn't see much of my father at that time, even though he lived really close in proximity. But what I now know today about addiction, the only thing on your mind is getting high.
Yeah.
It's not about your children, your mom, your pop, none of that. Even though inside that might be your intention. It's not going to happen, though, especially at those times in the 80s and early 90s. So, no, I didn't see my dad for a long time. But moving forward, learning in the streets, just from that business perspective and understanding a business model from my grandmother, what happened was it allowed me to know that, okay, I might can use this in other ways. So crazy enough, my first plug was my great-grandmother. So my great-grandmother, so at this time, I'm about 17, I'm in high school. My great-grandmother, she had about 3-4 pounds of in her basement or something, right? The problem was that the bud had got, like, she had a flood or something like that.
Right.
So all of like the THC had got washed off of it. So no matter how much you would smoke of it, you wouldn't get high. But some older guys from around the way, they had taught me, said, hey man, if you hit it with some Jack Daniels or something like that, you'll at least get a little buzz from it. Like, spray it with some Jack Daniels, put it in the microwave for a couple seconds, let it bake into it. And I did that a couple times. And me and a couple guys at school, I had a couple guys selling the weed for me and stuff. And we were able to at least flip enough to get some good. We didn't sell nearly 3 pounds of it.
Yeah.
But it was enough to say that I'm an entrepreneur. I'm seeing that supply and demand outside of grandma's house now. Like,
right.
I'm doing something, and I'm saying, okay, if I have this, I'll get this. So I was able to get some good at that point. So now me and the guys in school, we're feeling better. Number one, about our product, because we're not hearing,
How old are you at this point?
17.
Okay.
Yeah, like 16, 17. I'm still in high school. But at this time, my grandma, and she was always very smart, right? So she knew that, see, some people who live in the projects live there their whole lives because of the convenience. But my grandmother always wanted better for us. So my grandmother, she raised me and maybe about 3 or 4 of my other little cousins from my aunt and my uncle. So she had moved us from the projects to another neighborhood in Baltimore, east side of Baltimore, right off of Greenmount Avenue. It was called F&B. It was Forest and Biddle. There is where I actually seen the mechanics of the drug trade.
As America turns 250 this year, it has me thinking about the people that really helped build this country. Not the ones in history books. I'm talking about American ranchers. The men and women who wake up before the sun, work long days, and keep food on our tables year after year. That's exactly why I like Good Ranchers. Good Ranchers honors that legacy by only sourcing their meat from local American farmers and ranchers. Everything from the pasture to the final seal on the box is done right here in America. I'm actually a Good Ranchers subscriber myself. In fact, my wife and I had the chicken nuggets last night and they were amazing. And that's not the only thing they have. They have steak, chicken, seafood, and more. And all of it is amazing quality. If you want to support American ranchers and get great meat at the same time, now's the time to try it. Subscribe today and get free meat plus $100 off your first 3 orders. That's $40 off your first order and $30 off your next 2. Just use my code INSIDE. That's goodranchers.com, American meat delivered.
See, in the projects, it was like, okay, you know something's going on, but you don't really see it. See, I never sold drugs in the project. I was still very young at that time. We left the projects when I was probably maybe about 14, you know, and then we moved to this neighborhood where you really seen the cornermen, the runners, the crack houses and all that. So this was a residential neighborhood now. Yeah. It was no longer the towers and low rises. So just seeing it there, it was like I really seen people getting rich. And now this kind of ties in with the thing where I said I was in high school hustling, because now I'm really looking at people who I seen go from virtual nobodies, but getting put on by the older guy on the block, and now they buying cars.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Now they have clothes. Now they're part of that crew, and it was just different, you know. Like, so seeing it firsthand that way, just like the users just run 24/7. It like really, but my grandmother, again, she took her same business model from the projects to up there, because at this time the projects had got tore down. And because the city council, they figured that it was a high crime area, let's knock these down and put some better living for the people of that neighborhood.
That's what always happens. That's what happened here in Tampa. They bulldozed the whole thing. And then they put the nicer, more, it looks more like a suburb.
Right.
But it's like Section 8.
Right.
But it looks nicer, and it's because it's too much it's better to spread it out through Section 8 than it is to consolidate.
But what we learned in Baltimore is when they did that, they just reinvited the same people who were in the regular high rise. So it's the same.
So they just put them in the same area again. Now you have to kind of pepper them throughout.
Right.
You know, everywhere. Section 8's a better. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No. You're right. So what I noticed was, so people had the option to come back, but they gave you your Section 8. So you're right. So some people chose not to come back to that area. Like, okay, because like you said, you can take Section 8 anywhere, you know, as long as the landlord wants to accept it. So you're right. A lot of people didn't come back. But for the most part, majority of those people went back to those same areas because they had the option to come back. In some projects that was knocked down in Baltimore, people didn't have the opportunity to come back because it might have been a different type of deal there, whereas though it wasn't like I know for a fact, right? So this is one project that's in East Baltimore. It's called Somerset. When Somerset got knocked down, they were all low rises. The people didn't have the chance to come back. I guess maybe the property owners or whatever, however it was, I'm not sure the logistics of it, but they didn't have a chance to come back, which meant everybody who left there, like you said, were peppered out throughout other neighborhoods.
Which honestly is better to the Section 8, because then you have the ability to go to, you're mixing in with more successful people and getting better better schools, right? Like you're not in this
Right.
in this high density crime, school district. You could be out in the suburbs. You could be, Sorry, that's just my take.
No.
But I used to have
agree.
Section 8, and listen, and the projects here it was bad. It was bad. So go ahead. Sorry.
No. Hey, listen, man. No, you're absolutely right. And you get a chance at a better life.
Yeah.
You can go somewhere you've never even been before and build a whole nother life there. But I believe if you have the poverty mind, right, and you still have those tendencies, no matter where you go, you're going to be the same type of tenant that you were there. But some people, they took those opportunities and they're thriving.
Yeah.
I've seen it. So now at this time, so like I said, I'm selling the I'm in high school. And my uncle gave me a call, right? My uncle said, a friend of his wanted to buy like a pound of weed. Now, there's no way I can supply it. He wasn't thinking about me supplying it, but this was just a lick that had happened. He said, man, look, I'm not trying to get them that pound of weed. He said, what I can do is I can give you $500 and the guy was going to pay $1,500 for it. I can give you $500, I'll keep $1,000 and you just shoot me and we'll split the money. And we'll just say, hey, I got robbed during the transaction. So me being young at this time, I'm probably about 18. I'm still in high school. I'm like, that's free money. Like, let's do it. So
Where are you supposed to shoot him? In what part of not the body? Like,
right. So we ended up deciding to shoot him in the leg. Because he was the type of guy who liked to work out a lot. So he was like, man, I don't want any damage or scars on my upper body, So we decided on the legs. So we were in I'm an East Side guy, right? So even this happened in East Baltimore. So it's an area not far from Johns Hopkins called Church Square. And it's a project there called Clay Courts. But it's a real murky it's a very dark type area. So we back there in the back cut. And it was kind of like a movie. He like, So we like let's count to 3. So it's like 1, boom. I'm not gonna wait for 3. And so I shot him. So now, remember, like I said, we're only a couple blocks from Johns Hopkins, one of the greatest hospitals in the world. And we couldn't get a ride there. I mean, he's bleeding out, right? But what we learned is,
I mean, you didn't pull the skin or something. You just shot him shot him in the leg.
Yeah, like the calf.
Okay.
Like the calf.
There's arteries and shit. Like you could bleed to death.
Yeah. So, so I shot him in the calf.
And listen, and if I'm gonna get shot,
Right.
I want to see the ball. I want to be able to be like, bro, I got shot, motherfucker. I want it like in the shoulder or somewhere you can.
Right.
I'd be like, oh yeah, I got shot there. Yeah, I want to do some. Come on.
Right. But funny enough, it went straight through, didn't break a bone.
Nice.
And to the guy who actually gave us the money for the bud, what happened was he didn't really believe he got shot because it was so clean how it went through, and he was basically walking on it. Like it wasn't like it didn't do enough damage to sell the story.
He had the bullet wound.
Which didn't really.
I got a question.
We haven't had people shooting each other here.
What's
so.
You say you shot him. What is the process of purposely shooting him? Is the gun like right up against his calf, or are you 3 feet away? Like
I'm probably as far from him as I am as I am from Matt. Something like this.
No. We got to be close. I need a better aim. What if you even a little bit off? You could hit a bone. I don't want to get shot in the bone.
Yeah.
I don't want to get shot in general, but if I'm going to be shot, I want it to go through, through and through.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So the guy didn't believe. Yeah, so the guy didn't believe that he had been shot.
No, because it was such a clean shot. Even though he had his paperwork saying he got shot, nobody in the streets reads paperwork. Like, not medical bills.
Right.
Paperwork if it's from court, of course, but not medical bills. So it was like I said, it didn't do enough damage, even though he was literally shot.
Right.
So I shoot him. I let a couple extra shots off in the air just to sell the point. that something had happened in that area. Our cousin lived maybe a couple doors down from where it happened at. They didn't know what was going on. But I go in there, I leave the gun in there, and I start bleaching my hands and stuff. But my uncle said, no, I don't want you to go to the hospital with me. Let these guys take me to the hospital just in case. Because anytime it's a shot, the detectives are there.
Yeah.
Right. So he was like, just in case it's some dickhead cops, I don't want them to see some GSR on you or, even implicate you. He said, let them take me. So they hobbled with him up the street because we couldn't get a cab. It was like no ride. And we had money,
right?
Clearly, so but nobody would take us. So he had to hobble his arms around my two cousins and they took him up. So shortly thereafter, the detective is calling me now. Like, hey, man, you need to come on down here and tell us, what's going on. So when my uncle was in there, clearly he said, I got shot. Somebody tried to rob me and my nephew, whatever. So I called my uncle. I said, man, because in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to say nothing about nothing. He said, nah, man, just go down there, let them know exactly what happened. You feel me? As, we had rehearsed. And they're going to stop calling you. He said, it's their job to call you. Somebody was shot.
Yeah.
So I go to whatever district it was. I go in there, and the cop, he's like, he said, so tell me what happened. He said, man, we was walking, man, somebody, it was dark. I don't know who it was. They shot my uncle, and they took our money. So he slammed, and this was like this was a while back, so they still had recorders. So he hit the stop button on it, like, what if I tell you your uncle said that he shot himself? It was self-inflicted. I'm like, well, I know that didn't happen. That's a lie. Right. What I told you is what happened. So he was kind of upset, whatever, and they let me out, and that was the end of that.
Even the cop wasn't buying it. It's like, it's too clean of a shot.
Right, basically. But that had taught me something because I had never been locked up at that point. I never been to jail. I never had a juvenile history, so just being at this point in life and starting to really get my feet wet in the street, it starts to show me okay, there's ways to do this, and to make it lucrative. One bullet, one shot, one night got me $500. What else can I do to kind of, I'm telling you.
Who else can I shoot? This could be a thing.
Right. So from that point, I started dabbling and selling harder drugs now. I remember the first time I got arrested, it was probably maybe about 6 months after this, because I was still about 18. I just turned 18. And me and a friend of mine, we were selling drugs, and the cops, they chained us to a light pole, cuff, you know what I mean? So we just like this. And they went in the alley looking for the drugs and all that. And this is how green a cop would just try you, right? So they come out there with a pen with a gun on it. Look what we found. But it was one of their guns. Yeah. They had took it off their hip, you know what I mean? That was going to pressure us to tell them something or whatever like that. We clearly, we know we don't have a gun in that alley. Yeah. So that's come on now. So we man, that's your gun, man. You just going to take us down to the bookings, whatever. So they still looking. They never found nothing. But then they finally found our pack. It was some hard and some dog food at that time, some boy. And that was the first time being at, so in Baltimore, you have central bookings. That's where everybody goes through. And then from there, they'll divvy you out to different jails or whatever like that if you catch time. So that was my first time at central bookings. And just hearing about it and also being raised by gentlemen like Dante Barksdale, they already give you the game of how you survive in these places. You don't go and try and make no friends, nothing like that. You see somebody you know, you feel me? Even if you see somebody you know, you got to kind of fox them out a little bit before you even go engage, because he might have been a sucker before you got over there. Now you done linked up with a sucker, and they say birds of a feather flock together. So you don't want to you don't want to be burdened by somebody else's lack of manhood when you just see them from the neighborhood, because I've seen a lot of guys who were tough on the streets, and when they get behind that wall, it's a whole different situation.
Right. What happened with with that charge, though? I mean, did you? Because they found that, they didn't find it on you. Found it in the alley. Did you
Well,
take a plea?
Yeah.
Like, well, did
Yeah,
you take a
plead-
plea or did you
plead
say I'll
out.
go to trial? Like,
Nah, I took a plea. They gave me probation, and I think it was probation before judgment. So I'm thinking, oh, it's just a slap on the wrist. So I never knew that at that time that because they try to tell you like, man, if you take this PBJ, it's not going to be on your record. But then you find out it is on your record, and they basically lied to you.
right.
You know, so now you have a record, and that was like the beginning of it all for me. You know, like just getting these charges, these charges that if I was smart enough, or if I knew that part of the game, I would have went and got a good lawyer.
Right.
You know, but when you're sitting in that bullpen and you just want to come home,
Yeah.
and they like, well, look, you can go home today. All you gotta do is just admit that, you know, whatever, and you'll get this charge, and but it won't show up because it's a probation before judgment, you know. But me being young and naive, I took it, came home, felt like a champion, like I had actually did something. But in reality, it was the beginning of holding myself down with these charges. But I didn't know at that time. So from there, getting locked up with my guy around there, I had a cousin who lived in a different part of Baltimore, and him and his guys, these were real criminals. Everything I did up to that point, it was just kind of like dibbling and dabbling.
Right.
When I got with them in a project in Baltimore, Southeast Baltimore, named O'Donnell Heights. That's Southeast Baltimore. O'Donnell Heights was one of the most intense areas I had ever been, right? As far as because now what happened is, it was almost the equivalent to like some mafia type stuff, right? Like, hey, if I introduce Matt, right? Hey, this is a friend of ours.
Right.
Meaning that, okay, this is a stand-up guy. So now I'm kind of,
But you're also kind of on the hook because you're vouching for him.
you understand?
Right.
But he was so far up that his vouch was law. You understand? So It was like, but nonetheless, you're still on the hook for him. You know, but as a man, all you got to do is be a stand-up guy, though.
Right.
All you got to do is play by the rules, follow. You understand?
Yeah.
So it was not complicated. But these guys, man, they were on a whole different level. So they were like really, and see, let me explain this to you too, right? So today in Baltimore, you have gangs, you have Bloods, Crips, all these other different things. But Baltimore is traditionally a neighborhood town, not a gang town. Meaning, I can be from Green Mountain Biddle, you could be from Pennsylvania and North Avenue, Park Heights, the projects. Just people would claim their neighborhoods, you know, not this or that. And that's how it had been traditionally for a very long time, that being in Baltimore, your respect was based on you as an individual and where you came from, not what set you were a part of. Because a lot of times people can be a part of a set, but you ain't never put no work in or nothing like that. You know, you just riding off the set name, but nobody really knows you. And then most times when you get locked up, you drop that flag because you were never really about that, you know?
When I was locked up, I thought a lot about home-cooked meals. Now that I'm free, I try to enjoy them as much as I can. That's why I like HelloFresh. It makes cooking easy, even if you're busy. The meals are simple, they taste great, and they bring everyone to the table. They've got over 100 recipes every week from all over the world. Big portions too, so nobody leaves hungry. If you're trying to eat better, they've got more than 35 high-protein meals each week. They also use good ingredients, like seafood that's sourced the right way, and chicken with no antibiotics or hormones. And the quality, you can taste it. Now they've got more seafood, grass-fed steak, and fresh produce like pears, apples, and asparagus. Because when dinner tastes this good, nothing hits like home cooking. I use HelloFresh, and you should too. Go to HelloFresh.com/ITC10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free Zwilling knife, a $144.99 value on your third box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
And that's what we see a lot in Baltimore. And I know people in different towns that arguably say the same thing, man. But when I went out there to O'Donnell Heights, this is when I really learned how to be a criminal. You know, like really, this is when I really sold my most drugs, when I really, like my first time being in a shootout where somebody actually shot at me, you understand? House raid after house raid, and where at that time I had seen the most drugs that I had ever seen in my life. See, before that, like when me and my friend had got locked up and they chained us to the pole, we were working for somebody. We would show up and they would have drugs for us. We would sell and we would get a breakdown off of that. Out here, like I say, I was catapulted to a position of power where we had probably about 20, 25 people with us.
Right.
You know, when originally it was just like me and a friend of mine. So now this is like a criminal organization.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, I'm starting to really enjoy this criminal thing now. Like, of course, they already know I've been to jail, so that's a plus.
A badge, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like okay, like because you know, like when you're introducing somebody as a stand-up guy, it's like okay, so what has he done?
Right.
What kind of pressure has he been under? Who was he around? You know, because these are important. Nobody wants to import a rat, no matter who your family is.
Right.
You know, so being out here with these guys, man, it was a whole different. It was a whole different like mindset. Like I was in straight criminal mode. Like you couldn't give me a job, like a job, work. I got a job. I got to be out here on Boston Street.
Now, how's the money?
I was just going to say that. What kind of money are you making? Yeah.
So let's say I went from making, before I got out there, let's say about $500 a week. Now that I'm out there, I'm making probably about $2,500 a week.
Okay.
And I'm my own person. Like we have a source and we have, it's unlimited access to this source. As long as you got your money,
right?
Whatever. I wasn't even buying my own drugs originally when I was getting $500 a week. These guys was just supplying it. It was their block. They had their security. I was a worker.
Yeah.
You know. So then I was catapulted to a position where I actually have workers, and it, I remember one time my same friend who got locked up with me. My first locked up. It was his first time being locked up as well. I brought him with me out there. You know, after I was out there a while, I made my bones and all of that. People seen, you know, my guys seen that I was reliable. I'm a stand-up guy. You know, then I had the power to recruit people. You know, and so he was one of the people I brought out there. And I remember this one time in particular. So some of our younger guys, they had went on a mission, like to go shoot at some guys or something like that, right? So we were all in this one house, and what happened was. We all sitting there, we smoking, we drinking and all that. And they was like, so we're in the house. So the way it worked out there, right, in this projects, which was different from like my original upbringing, and, like learning how to sell drugs, we would find whatever user that we could supply drugs with and use their house as a base. You know? So, okay, so like, in particular, this one spot, when this happened, it was somebody that they had a house. Of course, all the houses are basically the same size and all that. But we would strategically get houses in different areas. Like my one guy who was like the head of us, he was like a criminal genius, man. Like this guy could have ran Intel, IBM, any of that, man, if he was afforded those chances. But this guy, man, he was amazing when it came to criminal thinking and strategizing. And he was a shooter, you know, so it wasn't just all theory. Like, hey, you know what would be cool? No, it'd be like, look, this is what we're gonna do, whatever. So this one time in particular, so it was just me, my guy who I got locked up with. We was in a house full of our younger guys. So the way it would work is we would be the enforcers for our younger guys, you know, like when we outside. So that way, the way it works is if our younger guys are out hustling, doing whatever they're doing, us older guys will be out there to make sure that they good. Even though we hustling too, but it's more of a team structure. Instead of the younger guys just being out there by themselves, even though they can 100% handle themselves, we would be just that extra layer of security, okay? So they go shoot at these guys, right? And it's like 7 of them, so they all go out there, and I'm upstairs like bagging up some hard. At this time, hard was my main source of income, and the main source of income for probably every dealer out there in that area at this time. H wasn't really something that was lucrative out there,
Right.
because H comes with it's a system. You have to have like lookouts, cornermen, and all that. And for out there, it didn't have that structure. It wasn't like, so what we would call it is, so O'Donnell Heights sat like on the city-county line of Southeast Baltimore, right? But Baltimore City still patrolled this area, not Baltimore County. But it's almost like an island from the city. And I had learned that one Thanksgiving. I'll share that with you. But so I'm gonna get back to the shooting thing, right? So they go shoot, right? And my man, he like, yo, they on their way back and the police is behind them, right? So I'm upstairs bagging up. And I had just got locked up before then too. So at this time I have numerous incarcerations. So I'm like, man, I think I'm bagging up like an ounce or something like that, all in dime bags, right? And I just had finished up and he like, man, you better get out of there, man. The police is coming behind them, whatever, right? So now I go to the bathroom. I'm like, man, I'm gonna flush this, man. But then I was thinking about it. I'm like, I need this money right now. I just came home. So what I did was I went to one of the back windows, right? And I jumped out the window. So when I stood there, so I put in my mind, I was like, listen, once I put my foot on this ledge, I'm gonna just jump. Cause I'll think about it and talk myself out of it.
Right.
You know, so I got this bag full of crack and I'm like, I can't flush, I gotta go. So as soon as I put my foot on the ledge, I just jumped. Boom, hit the ground. It's like a 2-story building I was at. I jumped off the second floor, right? And as soon as I hit the ground, like I tumbled forward, like on my hands. I stood up, just got to running, you know. So I got out of there, luckily, insecurely with my rocks, which made me happy. And funny enough, the same friend who warned me that the police was coming got locked up that night by the police. For I think it was like trespass, like some trumped up charge that they gave him, whatever. But he wasn't dirty, so. But it was just funny that to me that whenever I just think back on jumping out that window. Go ahead.
What were these guys shooting at? Why were they shooting at somebody?
Well, it's always rivalries.
Okay,
So it was a rival set of guys who might have talked some smack or might have shot at us or whatever. You understand? It's like we would normally always.
No.
Oh, okay. So
that's just like somebody's encroaching on your area, or there's just a rivalry. So you just go over. You know where there's a couple guys. You guys go over. And you just kind of shoot at them. Just like a drive-by shooting, just to kind of scare them.
for lack. So what I would say is this: it wasn't just to scare them. The plan was always to hit somebody.
Right.
You understand? But on that particular night, so the intention was always to hit somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it was just that these guys were probably just out of bounds or something, or, you know, and they were close enough to our territory that we can actually shoot at them, hopefully hit one of them or all of them, and we can get back to our area to actually, like, to hide.
Right.
You know, like you don't want to go somewhere, do something and can't get away with it. You know, I mean, you know, that defeats the purpose. You want to do the harm, but you don't want to get caught for it. You know, you want to try to get away with it if you can. And if you don't get away with it, of course, you got to stand tall on it. So I believe that was the mission that night to like, oh, these guys over there, oh, we seen them. Like, sorry, somebody might have just chirped, because this back when Nextel was out. So somebody might have chirped the phone like, man, I just seen them guys, right? You know, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, yeah. So they went over there probably about 7 deep, you know. And
lead the cops back to your area. You take off because you don't want to get arrested.
Yeah, and my friend get arrested that night. But like I said, it was a trumped up charge, so he came home probably 2 days or something like that. And
are you still? I mean, you're not living with your grandmother at this point? You're living.
No.
Okay, you're because you're making whatever $10,000 a month.
Right.
You know, so you're now living someplace. You're driving a vehicle.
Right.
Okay.
So now this is still O'Donnell Heights. So O'Donnell Heights, I would say, is about from where my grandmother lived on Green Mountain, Biddle. That's probably about 30 to 40-minute drive, right? So that's a nice amount of space between grandma and where I'm actually doing dirt at. So, and this is what I was saying, I'll get back to it, was that I never realized that how much of an island O'Donnell Heights was. So at this time I wasn't driving, But I probably had like 1,600 in my pocket, right? It was a Thanksgiving of whatever year that was, like '02, '03, I don't know. And my grandma was like, hey, boy, come on down here, eat with us, whatever like that. But on my mind, I'm like, man, I'm gonna sell these drugs because I know everybody's gonna try to leave the projects, go wherever or be in the house to celebrate Thanksgiving. And that's more money for me. So I said, Ma, I'm probably not going to make it. I call my grandmother Ma. I said, I'm probably not going to make it, whatever like that. So this was probably like around about 3 in the afternoon when I tell her that. About time 10 come, and I done made what I wanted to make, and I'm trying to get out of there. So you got the Travel Plaza, which is a couple blocks from O'Donnell Heights. So they got cab stands there. So I walked down. I couldn't get any cab. This is before Uber and all that. I couldn't get a ride at all. So I was literally stuck in the projects. There was nothing, no ride, no cab, no sedan, nothing that would come get me. And I'm talking about, I'm trying to pay them extra. Like, look, I'll pay you double. I just need to, in that instance, in that particular Thanksgiving, I learned that if you don't have a vehicle, you are stuck out there.
Right.
It don't matter how much money. I would have even took the bus if I could have, just to get downtown Baltimore and walked. I don't know. But I knew if I'd have got in the city, I would have been able to actually, get a ride.
Right.
But there was no transportation from there to there, and it really sucked. But that's just the type of area that was. It was like, it was self-contained. And like no outsiders could really, like even if the guys that I didn't get along with seen somebody who don't belong out there, it'd have been a collective effort to get them out of there. Like sometimes you can respect a person that you beef with.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be that you're my enemy and I hate your guts. It's like, hey, we're just not on the same side. But you're still a stand-up guy. You still take care of your family. You still, you do the things that a man's supposed to do, even though we're not on the same side.
Yeah. So that the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation,
Correct.
right?
Right. So at this time, like I said, like 2002, 2003. So this is like when HBO presents The Wire. And The Wire was rated the #1 show of all times, like several times throughout the years. And if you see some of the actors and actresses who actually took part in that show and how their career is going amazing, like you had Michael B. Jordan, Idris Elba. I remember, so a lot of times, what I learned is a lot of us from Baltimore, we didn't even watch The Wire because we were kind of living it. So I didn't watch The Wire until every season was over with. And when I really watched, I was like, this is really a good show. It was some inconsistencies from...
Was it based on a book or?
So it was based on the criminal life of Avon Barksdale, who was a Baltimorean from West Baltimore. But the time period was off. So what they did was they took some stories from the 70s and 80s and just like kind of transplanted
Modernize them,
right? Because like what I said earlier about Dante Fat Tater Barksdale, that's Avon's nephew. Like I'd never really personally met Avon, the guy, but the show was created by Ed Burns and I forgot the other guy's name, but one of them was a police who was actually on these guys, arresting them at the time when they were doing stuff, and the other one was actually working for the newspaper, reporting what was going on. So it was very like ingrained in them. This was their life at one point in time, and I guess they got the HBO, pitched it, and it went on to be wildly a great show.
Right.
But like I said, the thing about The Wire, right, and being from Baltimore, no matter where I go around the country, the #1 thing that a person will ask me, or anybody from Baltimore, this is a recurring thing, is Baltimore really like The Wire?
Right.
I hear that so much. I could be in Arizona, I can be in LA, it doesn't matter. When a person hears that you're from Baltimore, that's what they want to know, because the country consumed it and ate it all up in real time. People who actually live in that life, we wasn't really watching it. But then I remember that I had seen a couple guys I knew, like I would see them shooting around the town, like making the show, but at that time, all I was worried about was money. I wasn't worried about being on a show. But I remember this guy who used to live next door to my uncle, he explained, he said, I was on, he said, I got a role on there. He was one of the guys who worked with Stringer Bell at his print shop, you know, and he had showed like the back behind the scene. You're like, okay, it must be a big deal. I didn't even know it was from HBO at that time.
What year was this?
This was like '03. At the time when they were filming The Wire, like for a lot of us, we didn't watch it. I know a lot of Baltimoreans to today who've never watched the series itself, even though they know a lot of family members who played a part. So the thing that made The Wire so great was they actually shot it on location. So those are real projects. And what they would do is, so instead of having Miss Jones look out her window the whole time that they're filming, they would go pay her. Like, hey, Miss Jones, we got $250 for you for you to keep your family in the house or whatever. Because for this scene, we just need the courtyard to be empty.
Yeah.
No looking or whatever. Or let's say it's reverse. Hey, Miss Jones, we know you got 3 kids and 4 grandkids in here. Why don't you have them just out here running around or hanging up clothes on the clothing line or whatever, you know?
Right.
So it was lucrative.
Very authentic.
Very authentic, right. So it wasn't as if they had to import actors to play these parts now. No, these were real people from the community who were actually partaking in this amazing project that really helped shape the lives of a lot of different people. Like, for instance, like Snoop, who played on The Wire, right? Like, she has a real story that she had before she actually started acting and stuff. And like right now, she's doing plays and stuff. Like, that's amazing to say that, hey, I started off here and I'm still keeping it going, you know, as an artist, you know. So, because in Baltimore, we don't have a lot. Like, we don't have any definitive artists that we could say, oh, that guy made it. You know, like you look at Atlanta, you got all these different, you look at New York, you know, but there has not been one artist from Baltimore as a singer or rapper per se. Like, we have Drew Hill. Let's say some of the most famous people is modernly, we would say like Jada Pinkett Smith. Also, like if you think about traditionally, you got people like Billie Holiday or like Reginald F. Lewis was like one of the first billionaires, businessmen. He's from Baltimore. So Baltimore really doesn't have a lot per se in the sense that you have just a person you can point your finger at and say, this is the successful person from Baltimore who's a multimillionaire and still making money and relevant today, in comparison to a lot of our other towns that might be close, like Virginia and Delaware, that have people. But to The Wire was just amazing because, like I said, my big brother was Dante Barksdale. And that's the name of the lead person from The Wire is based on Avon Barksdale. So the namesake, the Barksdale name, means a lot in Baltimore. And to have this guy as like a mentor of mine, rest in peace, he passed now, but he was a mentor of mine who gave me a lot of different game and understanding of how the streets go. And this is before The Wire even came out and even after the fact. So he really opened my eyes to like how to really play the game, how to really go about this thing and be successful at it. Don't just be a knucklehead to say you're selling drugs to sell drugs. Like if you're hustling, if you're doing anything in life, try to do it as best you can and try to help change the lives of your loved ones. And that was something he instilled in me, you know. So during the time that The Wire was out, we were still in O'Donnell Heights, selling drugs, being violent. I'm catching charge after charge. And later, I'll reveal the relevance of it, but it's just that when they're giving you that option to go home that day,
yeah,
it sounds so sweet.
Yeah,
but you don't realize that you copping out to something that's really making your career crook in the eyes of the court.
Yeah,
and
eventually
I didn't realize.
you show up in front of with 6 felonies, and
Come on, man.
and then they where you've been getting passes over and over again, and then one day they hand you a 20-year sentence, and you go, well, how's that possible? Like I've been faced all these charges before. I've never gotten anything. But now you're a career criminal, and that's what it's kind of like when the cops sell you. You know, the DEA will sell you. They'll do 1 buy with you. Well, you could arrest me right now. No, we want to get 6 buys because then he's bought over half a pound or half a key, and now we can give him 10 years. Mm-hmm. So you could have bought it 1 charge. You could have arrested me right then. You knew what I was doing right there.
Right there.
Arrested me. I could have got probation. You're gonna wait till they add up to a 10-year sentence. Like, come on, that's not right. Like, you know, you should have grabbed me the very first time. No, it's not how we do it.
Right.
That way we get rid of this guy for 10 years.
Right. We want that accumulation.
Yeah.
You know, so at that time, like I said, I'm thinking I'm just making out like, okay, I'm getting locked up in house raids. I remember one time, right, when I was out O'Donnell Heights, so one inaccuracy that the Wire had was that when the undercover detectives would come, they would call them narcos. We don't call them narcos in Baltimore. We call them knockers.
All right.
Like
Oh, okay.
knockers. But I remember one time, so I'm in this trap house, and I'm about to buy some work because I ran out. I'm about to buy something. So now that I'm in there, me and this guy, we playing Madden, whatever Madden this was at that time, like Madden 06, 05 or something. And I look out the window and I see the knockers like coming from both sides about to raid the house. So I get up and I run. I go to the back door, and I got to the back door right before they actually got to kick the back door in. So I already done bought the work. I got it in my hand and I'm running. And the police chasing me. So, right, because he saw me. But
Right.
I got out the door before he got to the door, but he chasing me now. So we like felt like it was like and I wasn't always this size. I used to be slimmer and more in better shape. But so either way, I leave him, I throw what I had got. Another police pick up the run from a different area, like tackle me, they get me down and all that. And the police who was originally chasing me, he finds what I threw. Now I'm thinking I'm good on that. I'm like, all right, well, you might get me with eluding or whatever. So they take me back to the house that they just raided. At that time, I had like some gold fronts. They were on my pants, and they dropped off when I got up and ran. So now that they got me, they like they found the stuff and all that. They like, who fronts is these? I'm like, man, they mine. You can get them here. You snip them in half and throw them into evidence bag and all that, right? So I'm locked up now for like maybe about a week or two. All right. So I'm like, okay, because my guys had bailed me out. Now, let's say I got out 5 o'clock that morning. 8 o'clock that same morning, they came and raided the house that I was in. Same knockers. So I was outside
Completely different house.
Completely different house in a different part of the projects. So I'm like, man, I'm home for 3 hours. And from that stint, so I was locked up like a week to 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. Then they raid the house that I'm in. And now I'm gone for like 9 months now. So I literally got like one breath of fresh air and was gone right back again. So it's like, man, and that's just one of the treacherous parts of the streets. You never know where it come from. You never know who snitches on you, unless you take it to trial. But just generally, it's just a tough way to live, So just about the Wire. So at that time, we were really outside living this lifestyle, and so from the Wire, like the Freddie Gray thing, right? Freddie Gray was a young man in Baltimore, and this was a national headline. He actually was killed by Baltimore City Police. So he was in that custody. So he was literally, this is West Baltimore now. He was a known figure in that area. So he was just like running somewhere, like running for a ride or something like that, right? And the police had seen him running, and they must have assumed that he was either doing something or about to do something. So they chased him and they put him in cuffs. And when they put him in cuffs, they put, I believe it was behind his back, and they shackled his ankles. And they just threw him inside the cruiser and took him for what they call a rough ride. So that rough ride ended up in his spine being severed.
What is a rough ride? What do you mean?
When they don't sit you up in there and put the seatbelt on you. When they just got you in there and you just
You're bouncing off the walls. You're falling on the
wall.
ground. You try and get back up. Okay. So you're getting smashed all around.
Correct.
Right.
So,
and this is a paddy wagon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's brutal back there.
Brutal. Right. So it's not like you're in the back of the car.
No, you're in the back of the car. It's cushioned.
Right.
You can't go very far. Here, you're falling 6 feet this way, 8 feet this way, 4 feet the other.
Come on, man. And his spine was severed. So when that happened, that's when the Baltimore riots actually happened.
Is that when he told them when he was getting out? He was like, I can't stand up. I can't stand up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they thought he was bullshit, and then they
Right.
just dragged him in anyway.
He was his back was already broken at that point.
Right.
You know, and that was a very, very sad thing because for us being in the street at that time, we knew it could have been any one of us.
Did he die?
He died.
Okay.
Yeah, he died. And that's where the Baltimore riots happened. He died maybe a couple days after that. And like at that time, I was so disconnected from watching the news or anything like that, that I didn't even know about it till after he was already dead. And like for guys like us in the street, like even with a street code, you still stand for something. And like, okay, as a police, you got a job to do. If I'm breaking the law, it's your job to lock me up. If I'm locked up, it's my job to keep my mouth shut. That's just the way it works. But to have somebody back get broke and I'm under, arrest, that was unacceptable. So the city roared, and that's when the Freddie Gray riots happened. Now, for me, as a street guy, I was helping with the riots, looting and all that. Like I had so many PlayStations and sneakers and like, man, it was everything. Like it was like we were printing money,
Right.
which isn't necessarily right, but this is the frustration of the youth, that's actually going on. Like we knew that this could have been any of us or any of our loved ones. This man literally didn't do anything. He didn't have any weapons on him, didn't have any drugs on him, so he died in the hands of police and nothing, they weren't charged with it, so man, we tore the city up, man. And it was a fun time at that time, and I know it might sound crazy, and this is just me looking back in hindsight, being a young guy at that time. It was just a sense of lawlessness. And the thing was that the police, what we learned was, and later data, that they stopped policing the street. So they were intentionally allowing certain things to happen within the town. So like even if you called 911, and I'm not even talking about at the time of the riots. I'm talking about like weeks delayed behind it. Mm-hmm. They weren't doing their jobs. So if an old lady had fell somewhere, something like that, like the EMS, none of them were coming out, and that kind of sucked for the law-abiding citizens.
Right.
Like you can't make the majority suffer for the minority. And we learned that that's something that happened. So during the time of the riots, man, like we were going up in the GameStops, the Foot Lockers. I mean, it was so crazy because you'll see so many shoes, right? And it'll just be the left shoe. Right. People had bags full of just left shoes.
Because they put out the left shoe for the display.
Yeah. And
so when you're riding, you don't think to yourself, let me get what I need to go in the back and find right. That kind of time.
Yeah, you don't have that type of time. So so you might meet up with somebody who got a bag full of right shoes. You're like, okay, we got these, and there's so many different game consoles. But as a crook at that time, it was like, it felt good. It was like some get back at the police,
right?
At the system rather. And it, like I said, it really felt good to be able to have a little get back, even though something so bad had happened. Mm-hmm. As far as Freddie losing his life. I didn't personally know Freddie, but we all coming from the city is a Freddie or know a Freddie. And it just wasn't right. It didn't sit right with us. It was a lot of pharmacies being looted, so all of the Percocets, all of that was on the streets. But what we also learned was about like the Gun Trace Task Force. Those were the disgraced Baltimore City police who they only focused on guns. But these guys were so bad, man. They actually all got federal bits. A couple of them died, I believe. I remember Herschel. I remember Herschel specifically. And he passed. And he died in prison. But, man, he was terrible, man. I want to paint a picture for you to understand that. Let's just think about a half a mile, right, worth of drug territory. Everybody's doing their own thing, right? But when these guys came around, and remember, they wasn't even looking for drugs, quote unquote. It's supposed to have been guns. What they would do is Like somebody from all the way up the block would be like, her suing them out, her suing them out. And the whole word would just echo down the whole area just to put your fellow hustler on point that the cruddy police is out.
Right.
Something's bad's going to happen. They're only around here to do bad. And they were convicted of selling drugs, murder for hire, robbery, all kind of different things. I personally witnessed certain things when it came to being on the blocks that, because even though I was in the projects hustling, right, I will always make my way around the city because I'm a well-known guy. So I'm not just stuck in the projects. You know, I might go anywhere. So I remember in particular, I heard a story of a gentleman who got hurt very bad. Some people lost their lives because if the police grab you, nobody believes that, okay, so this one guy, right? He was on the block, police grabbed him, right? He had drugs and money and stuff on him. They took him to a block maybe about 15 minutes away, robbed him, and let him out. So in the mind of everybody else, if the police grab you, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
This guy came back like a half an hour later, and they like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be in jail. He like, man, they robbed me, took my drugs and my money, and put me out the car.
But the more reasonable scenario is you gave them some information, they let you go.
They let you go.
Right, because that's a hell of a lot more reasonable than they robbed me and took my money. That people don't believe that.
They don't believe that.
Right.
But in hindsight, now we know that that's exactly what they were doing. These guys were making $1 million. Like they were real drug dealers. Like, and actually, HBO again, they had produced a limited series called "We Own the City," starring what's his name, John Bergenthal. You know, talking about the famous actor. You know his face.
I'm sure I knew his face.
Yeah, he was very famous. He did the accountant with.
He's the is he a white guy?
Yeah.
He's the guy in not Stranger Things, the zombie show. What's the zombie show?
Walking Dead. I know.
Dead,
he was in the first couple seasons. I know exactly. Yeah. He plays the brother of Ben Affleck. Affleck?
Yep.
Did I say it right?
Yep.
Affleck. And the accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Really good actor. Yeah, he also played the Punisher and all that.
Yeah.
So he played Sergeant Wayne Jenkins, who was the head of that gun trace task force, and it came out on HBO.
He plays a good dick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You really believe he's an asshole.
Yeah. He did an amazing job with these guys. But again, a gentleman such as myself, being from the streets of Baltimore, I know the inconsistencies. I know the bust that they didn't actually put in the actual film because they were doing a lot more dirt. Like they were taking hits. Mm-hmm. Like if they had you working for them, because they just robbed some guys in South Baltimore and they got 5 bricks and they say, hey, we know you out here nickel and diming here. I'm gonna give you these 5 bricks. This is how much I want back. You know, like a real regular drug transaction, except for they were police. So you looking at it like, okay, you got the protection of the police. You got this work that's free, you know, and it just sucked because it made the scale so uneven. So you could say, oh, yeah, I know Carl. He's over there on Monument Street, and he's doing this, and that. Now I'm on their radar, and they're going to come rob me or kill me based on whatever information you give them, you know? So these guys, man, they were terrible, man. I'm talking about they would rob you, strip you, all kind like they were just regular gangsters with a badge.
Right.
You know? And all those guys, they caught most of them caught 20 years or something like that, 10 years. They caught big bits. Well, like I said, I know one of them is actually home now. He did an interview on a different platform. He was just talking about but he was the one who ratted on all of them. So of course he's like, yeah, man, I didn't know that. No, you knew.
Yeah.
Y'all had bust down Rolex, all kind of stuff, man. This was crazy.
Well, I was locked up with Greg Junior, which was he was on the drug task force in Atlanta, the ones that were doing the no-knock warrants, and they ended up kicking in a retired school teacher's door and shot her. She shot at them because she thought she was being robbed. Like she's 70 years old, and she hears bam, 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 and the whole thing was that they grabbed somebody, took a bunch of drugs off him, said, "Where'd you get the drugs?" And we're gonna let you go.
Right.
They gave him an address. Then they took the address, and they said, man, this guy he just said, man, the guy's got keys in there. This is what, I mean, you could go rob him. Here, take what I got. They said, okay. Then they went to what they had was a certified CI. So he's his word is good. And so they had him sign an affidavit. They go to a judge. Judge reads it, and this is from so-and-so. Okay. Judge signs off on a no-knock warrant, and then they go and kick in the door. Well, it was a bad address. It's just some old lady who's retired. And she hears bam, bam, bam at, 11, 12, 1 in the morning. Right. Boom, the door goes. She wakes up, grabs her little .22, and shoots when the guys walk in. And boom, they execute her. Right. Then they say they found some pot or something in the house. Oh, yeah, we found her stash. It's like, nobody believes that, bro. Like, and so what happened was so after about a week, Junior realizes, like, this isn't going to work. Like not only like the internal affairs is tearing apart their whole story. Now the FBI is coming in. So the FBI is like wants to interview them. He immediately goes to his lawyer, goes straight into the U.S. Attorney's office in Atlanta, and says, "I'll cooperate against all these guys."
Wow.
And then and he's the one that shot her too. By the way, he's the one that killed her. He got 5 or 6 years in the state. And he got charged federally, which he wanted to be charged federally, for violating her civil rights, and he got them to be run concurrent. So he got to do his state time in the feds, and he was pissed that he had gotten, because the federal judge wasn't bound by anything, so he got a little bit more time.
Right.
So he's going to end up having to do like an extra 18 months in the federal system. So he ended up doing, let's say, 5 years. They'd been robbing for 10 years. 10 years. He was a multimillionaire. Right. He kept everything. So they let him keep everything. And the other guys that he did testify against, which all took pleas, by the way, those guys only got like 10 years apiece. Nobody got a bunch of time. And he had horrific stories. I mean, horrific. We're talking about like chasing a drug dealer one time. Remember the one guy I told you? He's running. So you know how they have the like the bridges that go over, on the like an interstate, right? Like the bridge, whatever you call that, overpass, whatever. Right. So this guy was running, and so you know how they got the overpass and it goes down like this. So the guy was running, and he ran, and he thought he was going to jump and be able to hit that, but he just an extra 20 feet, and he jumped. So now he's 60 feet up. And when he comes down, he hits the fence line, and the pole hits him in the back of the head and rips his head right off. So the body's laying on the ground, and the head is literally on the spike. I mean, and he would tell us these stories. It was just like, and he was chasing him. He was like, yeah, he fucking crazy, right? It was like you chased this guy, and he jumped. And, granted, maybe he shouldn't jump. Maybe he shouldn't have ran. But I don't think he thought he was running from the police.
Right.
I think, yeah. But yeah, Junior was pissed he had to do like an extra year or 18 months or something and he shot and killed this woman. And when you would say to him, when he would bitch and complain about it, I'd go, bro, you shot a school teacher. And he goes, he's like, she shot me first. I go, you were breaking in her house. Because I was a cop. And it was just like, you weren't a cop.
Right.
Luckily you had the protection of being a cop. Right. That's the only thing that saved you from not getting a life sentence.
That qualified immunity.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
He was a rat bastard. Yeah, it's Junior.
Horrific. You could get him on the show. We had remember the prosecutor who knew him? We had the guy that was once a district attorney in Atlanta. Remember, he knew him. He's like, oh, I know him. Because I know. He said horrible. He said the stories 10 times worse. He's like, I promise you. He said, I know tons of stories about the guy. He's horrific because he's not going to tell me.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to put a little twist on everything. So it's a little not so bad.
Yeah. He probably pushed that guy.
Yeah.
Like for real, man. Like they are the worst. The cops, man, because they just feel like they got the whole. They are the most dangerous part of the judiciary system, man. Because you have to figure it out in front of the judge, but they have your life in their hands anytime that they pull you over, cuff you, anything, and it sucks, man. Those are the ones like I said, like Herschel and them, when they were on the street, man. And the thing is, they had like they can go anywhere. So they weren't like in a certain part of the city. They can travel the whole, because they were the gun trace task force. Violence happens in every sector of Baltimore. So there was no, oh, you're just over here and this. No, man, they was everywhere. And how they got jammed up was they actually had put a tracker on the vehicle of some guy that they planned on robbing and killing. But what happened was, I think it was the DEA or some other agency had a track on it already. So they already tracking this guy. And when they found the other tracker, they like, what is this doing? They ran it and all that, and they found out that this was a city cops. And that's when everything started unfolding for them. You know, like, yeah, these guys, man, they were some of the worst of the worst. You know,
so what, they opened up an investigation to kind of figure out something's wrong with it, something's not right here.
Absolutely.
And then started putting it all together. They don't have to watch. You don't have to watch somebody for very long to figure out. Because they start saying, "Oh, we were here," or "We did this." Oh, you weren't there, and that's not what happened. And you watch somebody for a week straight and look at the reports and go, "No, they're dummying up reports. Something's wrong."
Right. And I think that was one of the first things that really got them a little jammed up was when, because the overtime, they got so greedy, bro. You making $30,000 a week,
right?
But you still want to get the overtime too.
Yeah,
that's what really I believe that was like the thing that really put the police like IA on them at first. Like, how you guys getting all of this overtime, man? You know, so
well, the feds love to bust local cops, local corruption. They love to bust it. The FBI was actually initially mandated for government corruption. Like, it started off as, this is an agency that looks into government corruption. It then they then branched out into other avenues, but they love a good government corruption, especially with the local cops, because they get to make the local cops look bad. Like, look at these these guys are scumbags. So we're up here, and they're scumbags, and we busted them.
Right.
Look, they were taking advantage of these poor U.S. citizens that were just trying, we're looking out for you. It also makes them look out like we're looking out for you. Right. But then you go through the federal system, you go, you're not looking out for anyone. Right. That's not what's happening at all.
Yeah. No, you're right. What you said, Junior and all of those guys, man, may they, rot in hell, because they definitely, I'm telling you, man, they're like a part of the biggest problem.
There's no perfect system. Oh, no. You're never going to have it. It maybe when AI gets involved. Maybe when the cops are all AI. And even then, people will realize right away, like, what the parameters are and what I have to say that they'll let me go, what I have to, how do I get out of the cuffs? I got a chest pain. Oh, chest pain. Let him out of the cuffs. Put him here. Do this. It's like, I got it.
If they are American bots, they'll just put their hand on it and say, oh, your heart is a normal rate.
Yeah, you're right.
You're lying.
You're fine. Damn it. It's going to be bad. Listen, how old are you?
43.
Oh, yeah. You and I don't know if I'll make it 10 more years, but Jess hates it when I say that. My wife, she's like, don't say that. I don't think I have 10 years in me. But in the next 10 years, boy, things are going to be insane. Yeah. They're going to really, I don't know what's going to happen. But
you're right.
Yeah, maybe it will be. Maybe there will be. But you would think that that'd be one of the last things, any type of real interaction, right? Like, if you're building cars, that's one thing. You fuck up on the assembly line, it's just some parts. You know what I'm saying? It's just not a big deal. You fuck up dealing with somebody, no, it might be a problem.
Big problem.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. Only time will tell. You
have to do some test runs in some place where the people don't really matter, like the projects or something. We'll do some test runs. If anything goes wrong with it, you say, no, let's do it. Let's do the test run in Beverly Hills. Oh, hey, don't get crazy now. These people will sue. Yeah. They're going to have lawyers. So what's all right? So where are we?
So basically, we was talking about the gun trace task force and how cruddy and corrupt they were.
And they all got like 20 years.
Yeah. Except for the one guy who snitched on all of them. I think his name is Gondo, Mamadou Gondo. He was a detective with him. He tried to play it like he was innocent. He was only, because they actually had footage of these guys. They had went into somebody's house, right? It was like $300,000 in there. They had popped the safe open, took all the money that they wanted, closed the safe back. They thought that they were like restarting the body camera right then and there.
Right.
So they had already stole what they wanted, closed it back up, and act like they just popped it open. Like, look what we found, Sarge. And the Sarge came down there like, hey, don't nobody touch nothing. Nothing up. But they had already stole everything that they wanted. So a lot of that footage that it was a lot of different stuff that they were doing that not only made them hot, but kind of made it easy for the feds to see what was going on. Because I think when you're working on that level, it's a certain level of arrogance that comes with that type of lifestyle. Like, you're above the law. I am the law.
Well, and then the more you get away with it, the more emboldened you become, the more cocky you become. So what was the name of the guy?
Gondo.
So Gondo was the Ethan Hawke character in Training Day.
Yeah, that guy.
I didn't know. This guy's crazy. Thank God you guys showed up.
Right. And
God, that was a good movie.
Yeah, for argument's sake, all of those guys in that task force was the equivalent of Denzel Washington's character in there. You know, so just imagine 5 or 6 Denzel Washingtons from Training Day that's running one group that's supposed to be getting guns off. Yeah, man, these guys were terrible. You know, I personally never got arrested by them, and I'm glad that I didn't. Because who knows, man? You know, I'm a bigger guy. You know, they had a thing for roughing people up, and it was just like, that's what made the Freddie Gray thing so unique and so important, because it was like, okay, this can be any of us any day, you know, or it could be our son, anybody. This guy literally did nothing and lost his life, and the cops got off on it. But just to get back to the whole Baltimore thing. So another thing that happened in Baltimore as well was it was a national headline about the gentleman Tavon White. Tavon White was a gentleman who he was incarcerated at Baltimore City Detention Center, what we call BCDC, also known as Staleside. I think at one time that was the oldest jail in the United States, like one of the first jails ever built. So it was it still had bars on the gate. Oh man, it was horrible there. I had actually that time there, but not when Tavon White was there. Tavon White, the headline that he had in Baltimore was that he had got maybe 4 correctional officers pregnant. They had got his name tattooed on them. He ended up telling as well, but he had the whole jail basically under his control. Any contraband come in, anything, they had him on wiretap saying that any last word that's said about anything here, it comes to me. So guards was bringing in drugs, contraband, you know, phones, all this other stuff, and he had the jail on lock for a while. But see, the thing about that is that Tavon wasn't doing anything that hadn't happened before him.
Right.
It's just that he was hot with it. He got jammed up with it. I know when I was like, so Tavon White thing, I think that was like 2017, 2016, something like that, when the feds got on him and found out he got, so oddly enough, the female correctional officers thought that he was going to come to court and stand up for them, but he told all
of course not. No. This is like get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
She attacked. I didn't want to.
Right.
These women are taking advantage of me.
You know,
what was I supposed to do? I'm in handcuffs. I'm there. I mean, they told me they take away my privileges. They, you know, I had no choice.
Right. So he, so of course he went to court and he revealed everything. You know, so some of them ladies doing like 20 years. The babies will be had in prison.
God, what was the guy from Rikers Island we interviewed? We interviewed a couple of them, but one of them was literally.
He was a StreamYard.
God, he would be great. He was. Oh my God, you gotta. I'll send you this. Listen, and he tried the whole time. He tried to be like, yeah, it was, you know, like he tried to be like remorseful, but. He's selling drugs. Right. He's selling. I mean, just across the board. And then the one thing was. He's like, if the inmate, some of these inmates have tons of money. Right. You know, they got drug empires. Like they can send in, they're paying all kinds of money. Right. He said some of these guys, like, you know, they want like a female guard to have sex with, and he would go, and he was pimping out the female guards, and so he would escort the prisoner, even, there's cameras. There weren't cameras everywhere then, but there were cameras. I escort the prisoner, and he would go into like a closet, and then I would, I would kind of leave or let him have access to the closet. He'd go in the closet. Then the chick would go and she'd meet him. And I was like, and he is in. They're getting like, what was it that they were getting, like 1,500, and he was getting 500, and they were taking 1,000. He's like, and this guy's meeting them 2-3 times a week.
That's what I got when I shot my uncle. Remember, it was the 5 and
yeah. But he's doing this, and I was like, and he was telling me, remember I said, bro, what do these chicks look like? He goes, oh man, come on, man. He couldn't stop. He goes, you know what, they didn't look good. You know what they did. I said, they look good. Come tell me the truth. Would they look good? And he was like, come on, man. Like, he's trying to be like sad and like disappointed in himself. But he's like, man, they didn't look good, man.
Right.
He's like, but there was prison, and it was.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was so. But he's trying hard to be like he's remorseful. So stop it. God, he had a gambling addiction. But the stuff that he was saying, some of these guards in like from Rikers, the stuff that's happening in those places are it's outrageous. And you don't need much for or they would get a guard, and they have like badges.
Okay,
they got a badge. So now they're getting them to pick up drugs on the street and move it from here to here. So you're running your operation outside. I got you picking up. You're a guard there, but you got a badge. So I know if you get pulled over and said, "Hey man, I'm a CO," they're gonna let you go. So you're picking stuff up from here to here to here, and you're thinking, and then you're getting paid well, right? Couple thousand here, couple thousand. You're thinking, man, this is nothing. Do this twice a week. I'm going to make 20, 30,000 a month. This is a joke. Yeah. But by the third time you pick it up, you realize that inmate's working with the DEA, and and now you're doing 10 years, and he's walking out of jail.
Right.
And it was like, wow, it's kind of brilliant, really. And who did he give up? A guard. Right. Or a cop, really, essentially a cop. So the other inmates are like, hey, I get it. I hear you. It's not like you're taking out another street guy. Anyway, sorry.
No. Listen, because you make a good point. I mean, that's how all the drugs or contraband get into jail. It's always the guards. And it's always the guards having to meet with somebody. You set it up, and they meet with such, because that's how we used to do it. We used to pay guards but this is before the Tavon White thing. Like I said, I was never arrested at the time that he was arrested, but even back in the early 2000s, 2010, 11, stuff like that, like when we had guys that was in the jail, because you have to remember that these guards are from the community, so I might have grew up with this guy.
That happens all the time. I actually was writing a story for a guy in Coleman. When he first got to Coleman, he saw a guy that was the older brother of one of his friends, and walked up to him and saw him and was like, "Hey!" And the guard just kind of shook his head and looked at. He goes, "You could tell, like they made eye contact." He was kind of like, "Hey," and he knew right then. He's like, "What the fuck?" So he kept walking, and then later he walked up to him in the unit. He said, "Listen, don't fucking tell anybody you know me. The moment you tell somebody I know that guy," he goes, you're gone. Right. They'll ship you. Because you understand? He said, you say anything. And we had guys that were there that the chick went to high school, like a new CO. He gets in there, he's like, I went to high school. He's telling everybody. It's like, he's going to be here for about a week. He's staying, they're doing count, and then 11 o'clock, he's going in there and talking to this chick in the office. He thinks he's cool. Like, that's not what's good. Fucking 10 of these guys are going to write cop-outs. She's not going to say anything. But and then sure enough, 2 days later, they come in, pack him out, put him in the shoe, and he's on the next bus out. I mean, it's that, or the cell phones. All the cell phones are brought in by the COs, and that's as simple as some CO walks out to the parking lot, and your brother is waiting there and sees the CO walk out and says, "Hey man, can I talk to you for a second? Listen, man, you want to make $2,000? I just got to give this to my brother. That's it. If you say no, fine, I'll walk away right now." They're like, fucking give me the $2,000.
Right, because I got this cash right here.
Right here. $2,000. You already gave me the phone?
Right.
Fuck, what's your brother's name? Right. All right, I got you. You'll have it tomorrow. That's it. It's that easy.
Yeah. And how they did it in Baltimore, they would put it in their shoe, because they would search their whole body, but they would never search the shoes. Right. So that's how we was getting a lot of phones and stuff in. And
the COs don't want to catch each other.
Yeah, no.
They're,
Yeah. Because they're in on it too.
Yeah.
Like the corruption is so thick and so deep. It's like, who wants to turn down, like you said, extra $10,000 a month, just just bringing something in.
Right.
You know, I'm not doing anything beyond this. You know, so
you can justify it to yourself, and you think, oh, I've been doing this for 3 years, and
right.
you know, like they're not gonna, worst they're going to do is fire me, and they're not going to catch me.
Right.
I know I've been getting shut down for 3 years straight. I know exactly how to walk something in here. I eat lunch with the guy that shakes me down every day. He barely never even if he found something, he wouldn't do anything. He'd be like, "Fuck, motherfucker, are you crazy?"
Right.
And then he'd go, "Get the fuck out of here! Don't do that shit again." That'd be it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
The problem is you can't trust the inmate, because the inmate's thinking he's been bringing shit in. All I got to do is fucking write a letter.
Right.
You know.
We have a contract, a verbal contract that this is what's going to go on every time that I need it.
I know.
And guess what?
Yeah.
I give you a bonus this time.
Yeah.
It's Christmas time. Let me go and give you an extra 1,000.
Well, I mean, think about it. The FBI wants to catch that guy bad. You know, he calls his agent on the street, tells the FBI, listen, I got a fucking CO who's bringing in fucking shit.
Right.
They don't even care they don't even care that you're the one who's giving it to him. No, I've been bringing in drugs and phones, everything. Plan a thing. My brother will he meets him here. The whole thing. You tell your brother's like, oh fuck, okay, I'll do it, no problem. He didn't give a shit. You get to get out an extra 5 or 10 years early.
Right.
And what is it? It's just some CO.
Right.
The CO totally trusts you. It's been 3 years.
Right. Yeah. What's that? That federal. I'm not sure if it's a law, but I know that's the thing that they was talking about Big Meech with, where you can turn somebody in.
Third party rule 35.
Okay. I knew you would know.
I know all about it. Yeah, I don't think it's funny because I have a buddy named Pete, and Pete was a very smart guy. And Pete's looked at all the documents, and he just insists that he just doesn't think that Meech did anything. He's like, I don't see it. It's just not in the documents. You know what I'm saying? So, but other people, disagree, and it's a whole thing, and so.
Right. Nobody cares
knows?
about the truth when the lie is more entertaining.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree.
know, like when the lie is like busting and it's like, oh man, but the truth is boring over here. I'm gonna go with the lie. That's how most people are.
Well, and that's how all these conspiracy theories. How much fun is it to think that we never landed on the moon, and it was all faked, and they spent billions of dollars, and all of it was fake to fool the American public? That's much more fun than no, we did go to the moon.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to believe. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
It's like, oh, well, that's not nearly as exciting as this being this massive conspiracy to fool the United States and the Soviet Union.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. It makes sense. I even heard they said Stanley Kubrick.
Filmed it.
Filmed it. This was all
love
in a
that part.
Hollywood a lot or somewhere, and it never happened. Then when people talk about what the fan, not the fan,
flag.
the flag.
Yeah.
Look, you see ripples in it. It's no air in space. So how is it catching a breeze?
Stop. There's been like 5 different nations since then have done sent multiple satellites to go around the moon. They can actually see the tracks. They can see the sites. They can see they're all, Japan's in on it. India's in on it. Pakistan, like China. You don't think China would want? You don't think Russia would want to tell the American public your government's lying?
Right.
Come on, stop. But I hear you.
No, you're right. So, so just to get back what I was saying about just the corruption in the city jail in that system. So they have since knocked that jail down.
Seems extreme.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. You said it was an old jail.
Yeah, it was really old, man. It was look like it was very bad there. You know.
You ever seen Atlanta's the prison in Atlanta? I think it's Atlanta State Prison or Atlanta Federal Prison.
No.
But it's straight out of Shawshank, man.
Yeah, but that's how Baltimore City Jail was. Listen, when I was there, right, I remember it was a guy who he obviously had gotten into a fight before I got there with like some gang guys, right? And I mean, he was a stand-up guy because what he did was, so he had raccoon eyes, you know, like bust lip and all that. But he hid out in his cell for days, healing himself so the guards wouldn't see him and put him on lockup or start asking questions and stuff like that, right? And like when I first seen that, because I had been to central bookings, I had been to county jails, but when I got to Baltimore City Detention Center, man, that's gladiator school. I mean, I remember I seen a guy get stabbed and the knife went through his body. Like the guy hitting him and you could hear it hitting the floor. You know what I mean? Like they had what we used to call big whites, where it was like a piece of like bent metal that they would just sharpen. A lot of times it would come from like the window area. Where it was bendable to actually get a piece of that metal. And man, you're talking about shanks this long. And that's not counting the handle. I'm talking about just the blade. I'm talking about, I've seen people get thrown off the tier. So when you go from central bookings, which is the equivalent of the Hilton Suites, because you got TVs, you got wash machine, dryer, you're eating on your section, to Baltimore City Detention Center where like going up those steps to go to the gym, like man, you might walk past a body right there, man. It was like it was a very, very treacherous place, And after this gentleman did what he did, Governor Hogan, I believe it was at that time, knocked the whole jail down, But yeah, it was it was like one of those places that, honestly, I believe if it still stood today, I don't think the violence in Baltimore would be as bad. See, because when these kids get locked up, they've already heard about the bookends. Mm-hmm. They already heard about baby bookends. But like I said, the bookends is like the Hilton Suite. But if they would have had a chance to go over to Baltimore City Jail, it'd have been different because the whole atmosphere is different. It doesn't matter if you're in a gang or none of that. It's just like, nobody wants to be in any jail, but the conditions is just so much more horrific that I think it would deter certain first offenders and people like that who still early into their criminality. I think it would kind of make them say, hey, I don't ever want to go there anymore. In comparison to somewhere where you got a wash machine and a dryer, flat screens, and it's just a whole different game. So I do think that would actually deter, or it would have if it wouldn't have been knocked down. So going from the projects in O'Donnell Heights, selling drugs out there with my guys and them, I had made a move to what's called Down the Hill. That's East Baltimore, where it's like the Monument Street area, blocks from Johns Hopkins. And that was a pretty lucrative spot down there. That's when I first had kind of learned about Herschel and them, the Gun Trace Task Force. Mm-hmm. That's where, when I said they'd be hollering down the blocks, Herschel and them out, a person wouldn't tell you dropped your wallet normally, but they're willing to save your life to let you know that these crooked police are coming.
Right.
So that was just a sense of unity as well. You might not even know who's screaming it, but you heard it and you need to move accordingly, because if they catch you, it's going to be something bad. You're not just going to jail. Jail is fine. It's a part of the job when you're actually, when you're in the streets. But to say that I'm going to be robbed, potentially killed, because they could be coming down there just to do a hit because somebody somewhere else then gave them 40, 50,000. This is a cop. It's going to be surgical almost.
Right.
It's not going to be sloppy. It's not going to get back to me. None of that. With hopes anyway, So you would never know. So people would just clear out. So from being down there after a while, I essentially moved to South Baltimore, to an area called Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn was my last run and arguably my best run. So remember, from having gentlemen like Fat Tater, Dante Barksdale, teaching me along the way of how to not only hustle but be a man. Like, he was a mentor. And he actually was a part of an initiative in Baltimore called Safe Streets. Safe Streets were it's a program where they have violence interrupters. They go to high violence areas and they try to mediate. Hey, before you kill him, let's try to figure this out.
Right.
So. Shout out to Safe Streets and the Peace Team. Those are good people in the community who are trying their best to stop the murders. And so Tater was a part of that later in his life, like once he had really changed his life over. And he would just try to teach me different things, like how to convert from the streets. But of course, I'm still young at that time, and I'm just looking at it like, man, the money's there.
Yeah.
I want to make it.
What else am I going to do?
Yeah. Get a job?
Yeah. I'm never, even if I got a decent job is just not going to pay the amount of money that, you're just not going to make $20,000 a month at a regular job.
No.
If you could be a lawyer, you're not going to go get a job making $200,000 a year straight out of college. Like, it just almost never happens. You know, there's always the bullshit. You know, what is it called? Is it called White Collar? That series where these guys are making tons of, you know, they're all walking out from Harvard or something and getting these massive jobs. That just doesn't happen. Like, most of these guys end up working for an insurance company for $80,000 a year. You know, you just don't make money, and and they've got, you know, they got law degrees. Like, you know, what are you gonna do?
Right. No, I get it. And that's pretty much how I was looking at it, Matt. You know, like, man, look, I'm not trying to go anywhere and be an apprentice and, you know,
and
not
you haven't
make,
done it. You haven't done any real time yet either. Right? Like, you haven't done like a 10 years. Because when you get the 10-year stretches in there, you start going, maybe McDonald's looks pretty good.
Right.
You know?
And that's what I was saying to you earlier about like how getting those PBJs and stuff originally caught up with me. So now we kind of at that point. So you're right. So I've never did any extensive bits. I would always go to court and I would cop out. Now that I'm out Brooklyn, right? So I remember times when I was still down the hill, right? That's what we call it in Baltimore. That's East Baltimore, a couple blocks from Hopkins. So down the hill to Brooklyn is probably about 40 minutes. So it's a nice stretch. You know, it's nowhere near in the same area. But I would go because my kid's mom lived out there. So let's say I'm stopping at a store getting like some like soda or whatever like that. It would always be. I remember this one time. So I would have my rocks on me from in town. So this is closer to the county line, and things go for double out there. So when I'm selling for nickels in the city, these are dimes out here. So for the first couple times that I would stop at like the local corner store, it would be a crowd of maybe 3 or 4, you know, users just out there. And I would overhear them like, he's got us waiting 40 minutes again, da-da-da. But I was reluctant because I'm like, well, I don't really want to, I never hustled where I lived at, you know, in the same area pretty much. So I would be like, I'm not even listening. I just go get my stuff and go. But at about 4 or 5 times within maybe a month and a half, 2 months of hearing how disgruntled these people were to spend money with somebody who has them waiting so long, I decided to start serving them. You know,
It's just about people helping people. You're just a good guy.
Just a good
Just
guy.
trying to help them out. I'm just trying to help you. I'm helping you out.
Right. Customer service,
Right.
man. So I got one of their numbers and stuff like that. And so I started. So at this point, once I seen the floor out there, I just stopped going down east side. I was predominantly based out there now. So now I'm selling them what I was selling for nickels for 10. So I'm doubling my money for one. And they're buying in bulk, small bulk, not like 20, 30 or 100. You know what I mean? They're buying, let's say, like 10 pills at a time, you know, at least. So now I'm starting to see a little, you know, return on ROI. So I'm like, okay. But I had acquired this one customer. So now let's just say probably within like 3 to 6 months, right? I'm doing well out there. I had this one customer, and he would always tell me, say, man, look, your stuff is okay, man. You know what I mean? He said, but I got this one guy who has some really, really good stuff, and he only sells ounces or better. Him being a low-end user, he'll never have ounce money, but he's had what he's had before. So he said, I think if I put y'all two together, you could clean up out here, because he's not doing like he's only doing like wholesale. He's doing no retail. Right. You know, so after about 2 weeks,
So he's saying replace your source with this source, and you'll have a better product, and then I can buy from you, and I get the better product. Right.
And for the amount of people that I had, he was saying that product from that gentleman would solidify everything that I was looking to do. So I said, okay, at about 2 or 3 weeks, because of course, I mean, I'm naturally, when you're in the street, you're naturally skeptical, and you know, I'm like, well, this guy might be trying to put me with the police or something. I'm like,
that's what I'm already thinking.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm like, man, I'm not doing that. So at about 3 weeks of him badgering me, because this was a very good customer of mine. Like, I knew his mom, everything. You know, this wasn't just a guy who would just call and just serve him. No. So I was like, get that guy a call, man. So the guy, he came, so he had some cars somewhere. So the thing was that I supposed to be looking at cars to see if he had a vehicle I wanted to buy, but at the same time, he's bringing something for me to let my people check out. All right, so he brings like an 8-ball or something like that, right? But
Sample.
Sample. Yeah. In Baltimore, we call them testers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, that's another lucrative thing about Baltimore that I learned in other towns that they don't do. We will have 100 to 200 pills of H to give away for free.
Right.
So it's a daily thing to give away testers because today, Matt, you might have a bomb, right? Everybody coming to you, you made $10,000 a day, right? But I might have a bomb too. But most users are not going to break what they already getting. If they know it's a missile here, they're going to go there till it's not. Mm-hmm. But I got to drop testers. Kobe got to drop testers. Everybody. So, okay, I might be buying from you, but I also got these for free. I might buy 5 pills from you, and I go in the house with 10 pills that was all testers. So now that's how they, as users, kind of how they figure out where they want to go. Because remember, when you're selling dope in a place like Baltimore, the thing is that it's highly organized. When you're selling, rock, you can just have it in your pocket. Somebody want it. See, and that's what makes Baltimore unique as well, is that it's an open air drug market, meaning that you can literally go anywhere in Baltimore and buy drugs. I've learned in other towns that you might have to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and by the time you get it, then got skimped out of, stepped on, and everything else. No, in Baltimore, you could literally pull up right now to a corner where it looked like some action going on and get something good, and that seller will honor his word. Because it's so many, drugs are so plentiful, and I learned this about towns that have ports. Like, it's right there, and you're getting it right off the boat. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to do a lot of stuff to it. So, like, when I was in the streets, I used to have people come from PA, Virginia, all of that, because if I'm in PA, I got to go through so many loops to get it. But they might have a runner that comes to Baltimore, well, let's say, $1,300, and they have like a list. Okay, get this much H from this spot, get this much hard, get this bud, you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's a system that they have there, and it works out for them because number one, the runners taking all the risk. I'm in my house. I'm just waiting for you to call me, and I come meet you at the local 7-Eleven. I pick up my part of what you actually. But the runner might be going for 10 different people with that 1,300.
Right.
So he's just, but that's one of the unique things about Baltimore, that it's literally everywhere. Like, if you, where City Hall is, 5 minutes from City Hall, people selling, a boy and girl. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way Baltimore is. So when I met with a gentleman about the car, he gave me the tester. But one thing I always learned from my big brother, Teddy, he said, man, always go with money. Like, if you sure that it's a deal and nobody's trying to set you up or nothing like that, go with money. Show him that you are about business. So I went with like enough for an ounce anyway. Like, I think it was like 1,300 at that time or something. So he gave me the 8-ball, and I gave him the film. I said, I want to, I'm looking to do real business with you. I mean, of course, an ounce ain't like, well, but at least showed him enough that, because remember, the referral was a user. Mm-hmm. So he didn't know if, in hindsight, I can only imagine what my guy was telling the guy. Like, yeah, man, I'm telling you, he's a good guy. He's always consistent. I think probably telling him the same thing he was telling me to kind of pump it up. Mm-hmm. So I just felt like it was in my best interest to make sure that I took money to show him that, hey, like, yeah, the referral is a user, but I'm not a user.
Right.
Like, don't think that he finessed this situation just so me and him can go smoke an 8-ball together. Yeah. No, I'm really here to move on to do business. So now, of course, at this time, I don't know if he's going to keep the money or whatever. I don't know this guy. He bought an 8-ball, you know what I mean? But you gotta have some sort of faith. He called me a little later. He had it. And from that point, that's when my whole life changed. See, at this point, I had already got so much experience from just being 17, 18, or like 15, 16 when I with the bud from my great grandmother that was no good, and I'm still in high school, to being locked up, being in O'Donnell Heights and East Baltimore F&B, watching everything, and so now I'm really ready for the game. Mm-hmm. I know everything that I need to know. Profit, my P&L is is amazing at this point. You know, like, so what I would do is, as I'm getting to know him, I used to have like 10 cars spread throughout the projects, right? Like I had Land Rover, Acura trucks, Lexus trucks, you know what I mean? Just cars that I could use like as hard drives, basically. Like, so one car, and I would never drive the cars per se unless I had to move them for whatever reason. But so I would drive to the car with a car. I wouldn't get in the car and drive it or something like that. So I would pick opportune times just to go ahead and, so like one car might had bags full of 20 rocks. One car got money. The other one got nickel rocks and dime rocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One had guns, you know. That way I would never have anything in my house.
Right.
That was the whole key that I always learned. Don't have nothing in your house. Don't eat where you shit.
Right.
So, so now I'm doing great dealing with this guy. And I not only am I doing great with the work that he got, I'm talking about, man, the girl that he had was white as the lamp and just like rock hard. And I'm talking about, man, like when you got something good, what I learned is you could just stand behind it so much more. Like, and again, with testers. So now that I'm acquiring this land out there, because I really wasn't hustling in the projects, you know, so the guys in the projects, they never really knew me. I was like on the outskirts of the project. I would be catching everybody who's really spending money. What I learned is the people in the projects, they got $7 for a $10 pill. Mm-hmm. They got, you know, it's always some shortage of cash.
Right.
But I'm dealing with people who coming from Pasadena, Brooklyn Park, all different, you know, Glen Burnie, all these different areas surrounding the projects. So I'm really, really making out at this point. And what I was saying about the testers is, if I see somebody waiting somewhere, I just get my number and just drop like 3 pills in their hand, you know? Because for me, I'm getting so much of it at this point,
right?
And it's so good that I know. See, what happens is this, right? When you're in the projects or in an area, it's usually like 1 or 2 guys who run that area.
Yeah. Meaning
this, right? So let's say this guy got bricks of and he's like, he's serving all of us, right? So whatever you buy, let's say you buy 9 ounces. Let's say all of us buying 9 ounces, right? But you're selling yours as nickels. I'm selling mine as 30s. He's selling his as 20s, 25, whatever it is, right? So it's all different sizes, right? But it's all coming from the same guy, and his work is a 6. So that means that no matter what, no matter how big you got it, no matter how fancy you got it, it's a 6. And mostly everybody got it because he's serving everybody. Mm-hmm. But my guy wasn't a part of that system. So I knew that these guys were predominantly getting it all from one place.
Right.
So now that I know my source is different, I can afford just to give you some because you're not going to go back to where you were at first. You're going to call me,
right?
You know, and I just gave you a free hit. So you're not even, the money that you probably was going to spend with these guys, you can go and go get something to eat with that or save that for whatever you're going to do. I just saved you some money. So using that model of, you know, being willing to lose the small, you know, I might bag up a half ounce just for all testers that I'm just going to go around and just drop them here, boom, boom, boom. And people, it says something about you as an individual too. And I'm already pulling up in something nice. You understand? So it's like, this is the type of guy I want to do business with. Instead of somebody who you might be trying to go buy something from and they might try to rob you one day. Nah, you can feel comfortable that the business that we're doing is secure. And even if you're short, man, like in hindsight, I was the type of gentleman that I don't care what you had. You could have, if I'm selling, let's say $10 pieces, right? You can have food stamps, bring them here. You can have rare coins, bring them here. You can have football cards, give them here. You know what I mean? Because you're going to get high. You understand? And that was the whole thing. I wanted my clientele to stay high. You know, like
horrible.
I'm just saying, like, for me, with that business model, it worked.
Yeah, I love that you're pitching it as you being a man of the people. I'm Robin Hood. I care about these people.
Yeah, man. I mean, because what I learned in addiction is you never know what somebody might do to go get it. You understand?
So really looking out for them.
really looking out for him, man. You know, I'm keeping you out of jail, man. You might have wouldn't tipped over that 7-Eleven or something like that if I can give you these free ones. But nonetheless, so I'm doing great with this guy. And one night, a buddy of mine, he had told me, he said, man, look, let's go take over this block.
If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. When you're not resting well, everything else feels harder. Your focus, your mood, even your recovery. GhostBed is here to help you fix that. They've spent decades perfecting how to build a bed that's comfortable, durable, and designed to actually help you rest. Every GhostBed mattress features premier materials, proven cooling technology, and their exclusive ProCore layer, a targeted support system that reinforces the center of the mattress, where the body is heaviest. It helps keep your spine aligned and your back supported, so you can wake up ready for anything 2026 throws at you. Each mattress comes with a 101 night sleep trial and a 20 to 25 year warranty, so you can try it risk-free, knowing it's built to last. Shipping is fast and free. Most orders arrive in 2 to 5 days. GhostBed has great prices to begin with, up to 50% off comparable brands. And Inside True Crime listeners can get an extra 10% off site-wide for a limited time. Just go to ghostbed.com/Cox and use promo code Cox at checkout. That's ghostbed.com/Cox, promo code Cox. Upgrade your sleep with GhostBed, the makers of the coolest bed in the world. Some exclusions apply. See site for details.
It was in northeast Baltimore. So I got all the work that I need.
Right.
So I usually will go get a motel room somewhere, bag everything up or whatever like that. And, you know, I can go get it later once it's all done, but I don't want to rob enough and I don't want to have nothing in my house. But this was a very, very lucrative deal. So I went to like 3 different motels in the area. No rooms available. So I'm like, man. So now I'm put in a position. I'm like, man, I got to get this together. So I'm in my house on a table, like something like this. I got the mirror going across my table. So I got the hard that I'm bagging up. I got it's a long mirror, so you know what I mean. So I'm scooting down, scooting up, just handling, you know, making packs of everything. So I got my hard, I got my and I got like some straight powder, and everything has its own designated zone, so nothing's touching, you know. So I'm putting this together because this is going to be one of the most lucrative deals that I'm going to come across because I got the plug. With this guy, what happened was I got up to a point where I was buying like 5 bricks from him, and he had liked me so much. Remember, just starting off with just coming with money,
Right.
that he would front me everything that I buy. So now I'm sitting on like 10 bricks of hard. And I could have always did it myself, but he was a chef. He always made sure that it melted down right. It was what they wanted. It wasn't a lot of baking soda,
Right.
none of that, you know? So so I'm living the good life. I'm 10 bricks just because I took time to start serving these people who were disgruntled, you know? So we going on trips, like my ex and I, just we living the life. Like I said, I got like 10 cars, you know? But that night that I actually did the thing in my own house, the police kicked my door in.
How do they get to your house?
So I lived in the projects, but I never hustled in the projects. I never bought anything in it. So again, what we was talking about earlier, about that CI thing. You know, it was a CI in my paperwork. You know, I don't know if it was my neighbor next door to me who was hating on me because he seen how I had came in the area and how I started. He didn't know what I was doing because, I mean, I can't say what somebody doesn't know. But what I'll say is this. I never sold drugs in the projects.
Right.
You know, so, and it could have been my supplier. It could have been, you know, it's so, that's one of the biggest headaches. And, you know, like one of the worst things about when you actually in the streets is that anybody could have snitched on you.
And you don't know how they got a warrant to kick in the door. You just know they got a judge that signed off on a warrant.
Right.
And this is based on a CI. Like CI said you were in possession of drugs. They got a warrant. They kicked in the front door.
Yeah,
You got it all. Actually, back door. You got it all
behind me. Yep.
You got it all laid out on a mirror.
On a mirror. Yeah.
Right.
It's like
It's not what it looks like. You see all the cops with the guns, and then you're.
Yeah. I'm just, but it was in my best. It was in my best interest to carry it the way I did, right? So when they kicked in the door, and it was a tough door because they had to hit it like 7 times. So they get in. Lucky for me, there was a joint sheriff task force from the surrounding counties and not the Baltimore City knockers. See, the Baltimore City knockers would have tore my house apart looking for whatever they could have.
Right.
This joint task force, sheriff task force, I won't say that they were greener, but they were happy for what they seen on the table.
Right.
They were like, bingo.
Right.
But right to my left, where this light is, right, I had a floral book backpack that had a .40 caliber pistol and 2 bricks of in it. You know what I mean? They never even looked at the bag. They were so happy with what they found in front of me,
Right.
that they never even touched the bag. You know?
Okay.
So, if it wasn't for that oversight, I probably wouldn't be here today. So I'm sitting there, I'm playing it real cool. I'm like, man, look, y'all got everything right here. They done bought my kid's mom and my son's downstairs. They young at the time. They probably like around 6 and 7 or 8, something like that, I think.
So they just think it's a kid's book bag. Probably. Okay.
You feel me? So I said, man, y'all got everything. I'm not going to resist arrest or anything. Y'all can just grab everything and just take me out of here. I don't want to upset my kids or their mom any more than it already is. I'm not going to resist, whatever. And the lead sheriff, it was a guy, they had masks on, all kinds of stuff. So he was like, I can respect that. I got you. They said, put him in cuffs, and they got everything off the table, put me in cuffs, got me out of there. Whole time I'm sitting there, I'm giving my kid's mom the eye look like get that book bag out of here because they might spin the bin and come back in an hour. Mm-hmm. You never know. Or maybe Baltimore City will get a whiff of it like, oh, they raided me. I don't know. These are very cruddy police. So so now I'm locked up.
Are you thinking it's going to be another slap on the wrist or a year or 2 or
something like that?
Yeah, that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I had this song and dance before. Yeah. So when I talked to my lawyer, who was a good like a high power. Now I got high power lawyers. Yeah. You know what I mean? He tells me, he said, man, and I remember it verbatim, and this is where we was talking about earlier. He said, all them years are you taking double distribution and all that? He said, man, your record is fucked. He said, you don't have room for anything. I'm like, what? I said, I was getting PBJs and stuff, though. They was letting me out the same day. He said, man, that's how they do you. He said, they make it, they get you out there, but it just keeps compiling. Mm-hmm. And it makes you look worse and worse every time you go in front of a judge.
Right.
So now I'm like, damn. So he came up with the plan that that I was a user dealer. You know, like, hey, this guy doesn't really need jail time. He needs rehabilitation. He's using these drugs. Yes, he's selling them, but he's using them to sell. He's
only selling to support his habit.
Right, you know.
And 10 cars.
Well, they didn't know that. Right. They didn't know that. And honestly, at that time, I was riding so dirty that I didn't even have the cars registered. You know, I would just have like some plate, man. You know, like it's like the Wild Wild West, man. You just get away with what you can get away with until you can't.
Right.
And so I never had any of those vehicles like in my name or nothing like that. Like I had a gentleman who worked at a dealership. I think it was a Hyundai dealership, and he gave me he was a customer of mine, and he had gave me a dealer's plate that I would, you know what I mean, swap through the vehicles whenever I need to do whatever. So now I'm sitting in the jail, and I'm noticing, I'm like, just like things just ain't the same from when I was younger. Like I have a lot more to lose now. Like this is the first time I actually been arrested since I had children. You know, so I'm just looking at it, I'm like, man, I gotta get home to my kids, whatever. And what I learned was going through the program. So what they got is called 8505. That's drug court, but 8507 is actually going into the program. So once they got me out of jail and I had to go to the program for like 6 months, now I'm sitting around people that I would once judge, once serve. Whole time I was in jail, I'm just thinking about, because what they give us, it was like diesel mechanic books. I'm gonna be a diesel mechanic when I go home, you know?
Right.
But when I actually got to the program and I started learning more about addiction, I started to understand the part that I was playing. Like what we learn in addiction is this, right? So addiction is primarily made of 2 key components. That's obsession and compulsion. If you add those 2 things to anything, you'll be addicted. No matter if it's shopping, eating, sex, gambling, drugs, beer, doesn't matter. If you add obsession and compulsion to anything, you will be addicted. It could be video games, it doesn't matter. So once I started to learn more about addiction and how it actually plays a part not only in our lives, but in the lives of our loved ones. Let's say you've never done a drug at all in your life, but your brother do. He got 3 kids. His addiction is going to affect you if he's like in your life. You're like, man, I can't let my nieces and nephews go in the system. He's locked up again. Or you might have a savings that you had to spend to get him out of jail. And it's just like it happens to affect us all in some sort of way.
Right.
The addiction part of it. So now I'm in this program, and the psychological part of it is that when they get me out the van, so I got the 3-piece on, I got this, and I got the shackles on my legs. But guess what? This program is just like a residential house. It's no barbed wire. It's no correctional officers. So I can leave out of here any day and don't come back. But guess what? They gonna smash me with all that back time.
Yeah.
Which was like 15, 16 years or something like that. So the psychological part of it is like, okay, like I got a roommate who's here because he chooses to be here. He wants to get his life together. Remember, I said, I never knew about places like recovery houses. I always thought that as a dealer, if I didn't see somebody that I used to serve, they were either dead in jail or they found something better. Mm-hmm. I never knew people consciously went to places to try to help themselves, and here it is. At that time, I'm the guy. I see the guy who used to buy from me. He a little chubby now, looking good, haircut and all that. And I go and drop something and saying, here, man, come holler at me. Not even thinking about the fact that you look like this because you went somewhere to get it together. Right. Now you sitting there with evil in your hand, like, man, like how hard is it for a user to just throw them down or say, man, I don't want that.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. So now I'm sitting around these people, I'm doing groups, I'm listening, learning, and like one of the biggest addictions is gambling, man. Like I know people that'll take the TV off the wall while their family is watching it to go get on the dice. The roulette wheel or the cards, whatever like that. But they don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't do anything. So I started to learn more, right? And it was a gentleman at a program that was on the same block as the one that I was in, and he took a liking to me. He had told me, he said, man, look, he said, when you get out of here, you should come work for us. I'm like, work for y'all? Like, do what? I mean, I'm still thinking diesel mechanic,
right?
And sell some work, I'm like, man, I still got all the same plugs, you know what I mean? And I still had like 5 cars from when I was locked up. So I was locked up probably like maybe like a year and a half. And that's when I came and did the program. But I'll never forget, I came home March 28th, 2020. Within the next couple of days, everything was shut down due to COVID.
Right.
So I slid out. You understand?
Yeah, lucky. Yeah. Because would they shut that program down, or what did they do?
They shut the world down.
Oh, no, I know they. I'm saying like, because there were people that like they shut down programs, they'd send them either to jail or home, or the jails. Of course, the people are dying in the jails for COVID was everywhere in the prisons. Right.
And so what happened was I learned that they had stopped letting people come out of jail. They had freezed that. So if you was in jail, you was in jail. They weren't letting people come home. So I had slid out March 28th, like a couple days before they actually hit the country with that. So for me, learning that after watching the news, it made me feel even blessed.
Right.
So when this gentleman told me about this job, I'm like, okay, tell me about it. So he said, man, it's called like a house monitor, basically just babysitting. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, all right. So I get to do the job. I like it a little bit. Then I found out about being a housing coordinator, which means that you're a little bit above the house managers. You get paid a little bit more. So I say, okay, I still want to sell some dope, but all right, I'm rocking with it a little bit. I see what's going on. Then the thing that changed my life equally to me meeting this guy who had all that good stuff. I found out about being a peer recovery coach. I was like, so I'm not babysitting no more.
Right.
They say, nah, when you're a peer, you get hired off your experience of the streets. Huh? You mean you gonna pay me because I know how to sell, boy and girl? Yeah. But the thing is, now that you're on this side, you'll understand why those people kept coming to you, and you get an opportunity to actually help them change their lives. Wow. I never knew something like that existed.
Right.
So I went from being a peer recovery coach to becoming a certified peer recovery specialist to being a registered peer supervisor, which is essentially like, drug counseling.
Right.
So now I have found purpose and I was so good at doing that other thing that now when I come and I go through those same areas and I say, hey, man, let me help you get off this stuff. I know some places that might be a place for you. So now I'm in a position that I have the tools to help fix some of the things that I actually messed up, and I never thought it was even possible, to say your lived experience as a dealer or as a user, because I had my own addictions, but what I learned is my biggest addiction was fast money, fast women, fast cars. Like, it's the money, man. Like, it's a lot of people out here who never did the boy and girl or any of that, but they have actually been so affected by that lifestyle. Like you said earlier, like, man, ain't no other job going to just pay me $20,000 a month. Mm-hmm. So you get so attuned to that you don't look for a way out of that. You just try to keep finding ways to be successful at it, even though it's almost like the definition of insanity. It's no way. Because it's so, and then nowadays, with all this technology, it's like, man, like they catch you on the facial recognition and put you at a certain point to say, and so when I found out about the peer thing, I kind of went full blast at that, and so I started working at some of the programs around the city, learning how these systems work and getting the extra tools that I can get to actually help people. So now when I go into the communities and people know me for that, they now know me for this. So they like, man, this guy always had the best this, and that. So if he's saying that he got a program, it got to be good. This guy's known for quality. That's how like people in my city see me. So it kind of makes it easy or easier for me to be able to connect with these people now because they know that, like, for a long time, I was a certified street guy.
Right.
So it's easy to have a conversation with somebody and say, man, because the respect is already there. So it's not my job to get anybody off of anything, but it's my job to give you the support and resources that you might need. I gave you my number, man. Call me anytime. I might send a personal Uber just to pick you up to take you somewhere because your life matters. A lot of times we think when we out in the streets or in active addiction that we don't matter. Nobody cares about me, and it's become my job to reconnect that. You are still a human. You are still somebody who is worthy of love and respect, but you got to give yourself a chance. So from going through all of that I went through to where I'm at now, and it's like redemption every time I could see somebody who came into the program. They was 120 pounds and blotchy skin and hair missing and all that. But now they done got up to 180, skin clear, looking for the job, family back, together. Because what we learn is a lot of times the people we serve are the backbones of their family. So when they're doing bad, the family's doing bad. But when they're doing good, the family's doing good. So it's like, it's rewarding, man, to know that the same destruction that I used to play a part on and like look forward to it is go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you feel like out of how many people that you contact and actually help, like how many people actually take the initiative or accept your help, and out of those, how many people does it really help? Because you know what I'm saying. Like it's like inmates getting out of prison. Like, you know, they get out like when they're in prison, they all want to change. They're all going to do this. They're going to do that. And then they get out, and it's a little tough, and they immediately revert back to crime. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, with the recidivism rate, it's like 80% or something. It's outrageous. Within the first 3 years. So I was wondering, how many people do you make that offer to? You probably make it to 30 people before one person takes it. And then out of those, that person, how many of those people, if you have 10 of those people, how many of those people actually, you know, it really, like, does 20% of those people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do 20% or 30% of them actually say, okay, go through the program and then actually change their lives? You know what I'm saying? Like how, I mean, I'm sure 10%, those do, obviously, if you talk to 30, one of them says, okay, let's say take those. Sure, 10 of those go in. They go through a portion of the program, but how many does it really affect? You know what I'm saying? Like it's
good question.
I mean, I already know it's a, not from talking to you, just knowing people. It's an extremely disappointing number that it actually works. I mean, the ones that it does work, it's rewarding because you're like, wow, like there's a success story. But the amount of people that you go through, it's got to be horrible. I mean, it's like being a social worker, right? Like for child services or something. Like I could never, because it would be so overwhelmingly depressing for me to know that I was putting all that energy out here, and it's got to be just soul crushing to watch these people, and it's not like. And they're just devastating their lives. It's like, how can you not see that you're destroying yourself and everybody around you? And they just that addiction is just fucking horrible.
So to answer your question, right? Number one, compassion fatigue is real.
Yeah, is that what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's called compassion. Okay.
Yeah, man.
I can see it.
Yeah, you burn out. But for me, uniquely, coming from the perspective of being who I was,
right.
I know that people are only ready when they're ready. Give you an example. I know people who got clean in a house. When they were just ready, they like, man, I'm done with this, man. You know, it doesn't happen often, but what I'm saying is that, so if I told, to what you said about the numbers, if I spoke to 100 people, 30 people were receptive, 10 of them actually did it, right? That's a win for me. Even if it's just 1 out of the 100, because in a place like Baltimore, it's ground zero for addiction. Like we have more programs in addiction than most cities triple the size. Like when people try to like compare like Chicago to Baltimore, it's almost impossible because Chicago is like 4 times bigger than Baltimore. But the crime rate is very similar. So you're talking about a spot that's a fraction of Chicago having the same amount of homicides and violence and addiction and everything else. For me, it's just, I understand that it's not going to apply to everybody first time, but you just can't give up because there's so many people, Matt. I'm talking about, man, we have a spot in Baltimore, downtown Baltimore, it's called Lexington Market, where, man, you go through there any given day, and it's like hundreds of peoples out there who buying, selling, looking, you know, like all kind of different things. We have
like
a spot.
Skid Row. It's like Skid Row in LA.
Right.
They've got them kind of consolidated to just one area.
Yeah, but
or
not
they do it to themselves.
Because it's an open air drug market.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably like, have you heard of Kensington in Pennsylvania? It's an open drug market. We have also a spot in Baltimore. It's called Penn North. That's Pennsylvania Avenue and North Avenue. You know, it's just wide open. So there is never a shortage. And sometimes people just need that extra time. Okay, if I come talk to you today, say, hey man, let's figure something out. You might not be ready today.
Right.
You might have to get some affairs in order, you know, whatever. Then it's so many CPS cases and stuff. So these are complicated situations, but a gentleman such as myself, I refuse to give up because not only are these my people, a lot of these people are young people and they are the future. Like what I learned in this field also is that a lot of times the vapes that we see people with, they're not vapes that just have THC or nicotine in them. It's people who are making solutions for the vapes that people are vaping. Like, so I also work with children. And it was this one case in particular. He had told me that he had took a hit of the vape near his locker, and he woke up in the nurse's station. He said he took one pull off the vape. So there are people who are manufacturing those liquids to go in there as well. The same way like people are manufacturing the Percocets and stuff like that. And the technology is getting so good. There used to be a point that you could see a fake one from a real one. But now it's almost identical. And you don't know when you take it, you're taking 80%, which means that that's a lethal dose. You know, even like right now, it's probably about 11 different variants of fentanyl. Now there's so many other variants, meaning that I could be sitting right here. I could sit directly in front of you, right? And you give me a UA, and it won't find it because that variation is not going to be caught by the cup.
Right.
But I'm right here high out my mind, and you can see, like, Carl, you're high. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Come on, UA me. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that, to answer your question, that for a gentleman like me, I just can't give up the fight. My grandma found me in the house with my mother,
Right.
who died from, abusing opiates. So it's just been in me the whole time to actually get to this point in life from all of my lived experience to try to help whoever I can help. So that's like the most rewarding part to me. That sometimes it could be somebody come down the street, try to talk to John Doe. John Doe, get out of here. But I talk to John Doe, he'll give me a minute.
Right.
That's all we need is just that little slither of time. So like right now in Baltimore, I have an organization that's called Baltimore Recovery Alliance. It's on all social medias and it's on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. And I'm currently doing a docuseries just based on the bringing awareness to, to this crisis that we actually have on our hands. They spray on the marijuana. So, for instance, like I got kids that I've seen who come to the ER, and I know they only smoke. I know these kids, but when they do the UA on them, it has in it. It's because these dealers are spraying it on there. So now these kids are thinking like, man, I don't want it. I don't want no loud unless it's coming from John. Because John got that fire, but you don't know. You're getting so high off of John weed, and no other weed is comparing to it because he's doing something to it.
Right.
So now that means what? That you are prone to having an overdose, and you have no idea. So it's so many lives to save, man. And sometimes just giving the information and making the information available is something that can save a life. I might be an uncle to a nephew who's doing something that I know he shouldn't be doing, but I can get the information. I can just pass it on here. Now, if you get time, just read this, whatever. Because I also learned that sometimes the messenger is just as important as the message. We know, like, as men growing up, our dad or somebody could have said, hey, don't do this, whatever. And you're like, well, you don't know nothing, Dad. But then your cousin can tell you the same exact thing, and you're receptive to it.
Right.
So sometimes the messenger is just as important as the message. And that's why I learned that's where I kind of fit in.
The docu-series that you're doing, are you shooting it yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, are you just walking around? Are you actually interviewing people?
I'm interviewing people, people who are in active addiction, as well as clinicians, like psych nurse practitioners, social workers, doctors, people who are in recovery. So it's a plethora of different kind of people who. So I also have live interviews, like on location, with people who are out there using drugs and stuff like that as well. And as I said, it's just to kind of bring awareness that, man, the help is there.
Did you ever see Soft White Underbelly?
Yeah.
Yeah. That might be. I always thought to myself, well, one, Colby and I, we thought about like getting a studio right next to there's the state probation office. We were like, these guys walk right out. You can be like, hey, you want to come do a podcast? Like this guy's,
right.
But in your case, it could be the same thing. You've got direct access to people that are in recovery that might be willing to just sit on a stool, set up the camera, good lights, and hit it just like Mark Leda does, and then just record the whole thing. You'd have to edit it out because you'd be shocked at how much editing he does. I was talking to him one time, and he was like, listen, I might have an hour and a half video, 2-hour video. He said it may end up being a 20-minute video. That's how bad these guys are. He's like
Right.
they can't stay on track. They're all over the place. But they're also on drugs at the moment.
Right.
You have access to guys that are probably already in the program.
Right.
They're going through the program. They could tell their story and their story of recovery and what they hope to happen, and then you could put that on a YouTube channel, probably generate some income.
Okay.
Something to think about because
Yes, sir.
what do you need? He's got a really nice backdrop, some cool lighted camera, and he's got like one camera. He actually has two cameras. He has like one, and then he has one where he sits down on the ground and films it up. And then he takes some photos and stuff, but you don't have to do the photos.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever watched one because
Yeah.
as you watch it,
the black and white, right?
yeah, he does the black and white, but you don't have to do that. You could just do the good lighting and good camera and set it up and put it on a program. You never know what's going to take off. People have been stealing his ideas he complains about it all the time.
Right. If you get a chance, check me out on Instagram.
What is it? It's just on Instagram, or do you have a YouTube
No,
channel?
yes, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. It's Baltimore Recovery Alliance. So we're probably about 70% into it. I'm looking for funders,
Right.
because I don't want it just to live on YouTube. So, like I've actually spoken with people from Johns Hopkins and other neighboring hospitals and programs for funding and sponsorship so we can kind of get it to the world, because there are smaller towns that don't have the numbers that Baltimore have, but they have the issue that Baltimore have. So at least, and I'm gonna tell you something. In addition to that, right? And I'm pretty sure a lot of people from Baltimore might not know this, but a lot of the panhandlers that we see in our town don't even come from Baltimore. What happens is somebody can have a daughter who's addicted to opiates, and they live in Wichita. And when she goes to Google who has the best opiate programs, Baltimore's going to pop up. So she'll send her daughter to Baltimore, right? Daughter trying to get clean and all that. But then what she find out is that what she was paying $1,000 for in Wichita is $5 in Baltimore. And it's plentiful and it's better. And she got money.
Yeah.
She's not poor. So she's writing back home, texting whatever, hey, send me some more money. I'm doing good in the program. The whole time, she's fell victim.
Yeah.
And that's a unique thing that I actually have found out via research, that a lot of these people are not even from the city, but they're here because they got caught up. But there are so many success stories as well, though, Matt. And I think that with your help, that's a good idea. That maybe I could help take this thing to another level and really give people the support that they need, man. Because addiction, all it tells you, it lies to you. It's like the chip on your shoulder. All it does is whisper nonsense in your ear. We all right. We doing good. Don't nobody know. But everybody knows when you high.
Yeah.
You could try to straighten up and, no.
Yeah.
You're high. So, yeah.
I got one question for you. For you, kind of on your own personal journey. You said just learning and the education is kind of what made you flip the switch. Is there anything specific that happened or that was said through that program where you just kind of came to the realization, or, I'm just curious because a lot of times when guys come on, like their switch happens while they're in prison. They're like, I just can't do another 20-year bid. It's just I'm too old. I can't go do that. Was there anything specific, or is it just kind of slowly realizing, that the effects of it all?
So for me was reliving my mother dying from drug abuse. When I started to understand addiction, it kind of made me understand that it was her doing, but it wasn't her fault. Like sometimes we're put in situations or we're in atmospheres that are not conducive to success. So when I started thinking about my mom, who actually was found dead from, using needles, it kind of like, it replayed in my mind about the moms outside of my mom that was found like that. The help that those sisters didn't see back then in 1980 something, there wasn't programs like that.
Right.
It was like, remember, there's a large group of people who still think that addiction is a choice. Some people don't understand that addiction is a disease the same way heart disease. If you had heart disease, you would go see your heart doctor. You know, if you had whatever it was, diabetes, whatever, that's what addiction is. You know, so once I learned that it was more than just people wanting to party, and that this thing really takes a toll on communities, families, individuals at such a mass rate that I no longer wanted to be a part of that. Now that I knew that it was almost like exploitation of somebody in a weaker state. So it kind of, you know what I mean? Like, why do that? Especially when I found out that I can make money the right way by being on this side of the fight. I don't think I ever felt good about selling somebody drugs, but I do feel good all the time when I'm helping somebody get into a program, or I see somebody working a job like, hey, Mr. Carl, I really appreciate what you did for me, man. I wouldn't have my kids right now if I didn't. You understand? Like that's the biggest thing for me that let me know that it was time to make a change. I just followed the steps that were, you know, there for me.
Hey, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Also, we're going to leave all of Carl's links. Go to Baltimore Recovery Alliance. We're going to leave that link. You can go there. Anything you can do to help him, there's a place to donate. Also, you can go to his social media links. You can go and follow and subscribe. And you can, like I said, you can reach out to him at any time. He's more than willing to talk to you of anything you can do to help him. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. See ya.